Oh, sure. That's what I'm looking up right now was the location of that. Because it seems that
Say the pledge of allegiance.
since it got here now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let roll call show everybody is present. Anybody have any questions on the agenda? Have a motion to approve our agenda? Posted.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any further discussion about our agenda? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion passed. Do we have any communications from the citizens? Please come up and speak.
Scratch.
I'm Jody. Nice. I wanted to thank you for paying the insurance for the first responder vehicle insurance. I really appreciate that.
That's the least we can do. Appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Any other correspondence from the audience? Can everybody hear us from the speakers in the back? Okay.
Got an echo, yeah.
It's new, technical problem.
There's a volume button on the speaker. There's two speakers. There's one underneath right there. There's one clear in the back. Maybe we want to try to turn one of them off. See if that helps. We're trying to make it where you can hear us out there. Appreciate everybody coming. Consent agenda. Any, have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question on the bills.
Yes.
My notes on the bills. Nope, I guess not. Just cancel that. No, I don't. I thought I did it. It was my
Anybody
mistake.
else have any question? It's been moved and seconded. No further questions. Call for the vote on the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approved. A motion against, none. Motion approved. Move down to public hearing. Ordinance number 2021-002, Robert's Rule. Second reading. Read that, Chris?
Reread as previously read, ordinance amending section 2.19 of the Shoshoni Town Codes. Everybody hear me? As previously read.
Do we have an opportunity to discuss that, Joel?
Yeah, I was going to take a motion, a second, and go into discussion.
Right
Can I
on.
have a motion to approve the agenda, approve the ordinance number 2021-002, Robert's Rules of Order, second reading? Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I did a bunch of research on that, and, we were speaking about the Robert's Rules for small groups. Well, even that has problems, because under that, you don't even need a second on a motion. So I got to looking around quite a bit, and there are some modifications that have been done by school boards and small town councils that I think would be a lot better fit for us. And I visited with Chris, and I'm not sure if the appropriate thing to do is just to fail this one and start over or amend it, or I'd like to just maybe just start over, because I know there was a lot of concern about, having us decide rather than Robert as to how we're going to run our meetings.
Yeah, that would make good sense if we discuss what fits for Shoshoni.
Yeah.
And come up with something specific.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the second reading of ordinance 2021-002, Robert's Rule of Orders, second read. All in favor of moving that on? Approve that, it says aye. Those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
May it show that was unanimous again. The nays were unanimous.
Question. Where do we go from here then?
Oh, good question.
I would suggest that two of the governing body and maybe Chris get together. That way we don't have a quorum, and try to research it and come up with something that would work.
That's fine with me. I just need to know where we're going from here if we're not going to use this.
That's fine.
Yeah, I
Plan B.
think as time being, we'll continue doing what we have been. And that way we can address, if you have ideas, I would suggest that put them down in writing, something you want, what we're doing different. Have a constructive criticism or whatever. If you have ideas, we'll look at them. See if we can come up with something that we can agree upon that's beneficial for the town of Shoshoni. Identify what we're doing now, where we need to tweak it and make it better. That's a good thing. Fiscal year 21 third quarter update. Chris, could you enlighten us?
Sure. So this is a two-part update of overall the quarter three budgets and the numbers, and then the resolution will follow that. So that way I don't skip over that agenda. So I rotated.
They did. Not on mine.
Is it better back there with the echo, or is it better turn the speakers off?
I can't, I don't know what you're saying.
You can't hear me right now?
Echo, but it's better than it was.
I think they can hear us backing up and not in the front.
Well,
What if we move one in the front? Because they're having a hard time hearing the front.
I can talk really, really loud. Okay. Well, we tried on the speakers. We'll try and make some more modifications and see if that helps. For now, I'll just start with the quarter three budget on the revenue side and try to explain this for those that haven't seen it before. The quarter three actual is what we actually received in revenues for the third quarter. The quarter three budget is what we should have received based on our original budget at the beginning of the year, which is reflected right here under budget. The annualized is if that was what our quarter was every quarter, what it would be for the full year. And the quarter three available is the difference between the actual versus what was budgeted on a quarter by quarter basis. Most of our revenues were pretty much what we expected them to be, with the exception of the supplemental funding, sales and use, optional tax, and severance tax, and mineral royalties. Apologize. Quarter four was a new one I added on because we won't be doing another budget update like this for the fourth quarter, because we'll be going into the new fiscal year. So this is what I project will be left over.
Go off the turn.
I apologize. And that is what is projected that will be remaining as a surplus for the rest of the year in our budget for revenues from what was budgeted. The fiscal year quarter three revenue adjustments, these will be included in the resolution for changes, and they reflect what was budgeted versus what I expect for the fiscal year and what the adjusted budget will look like for the revenue side after the resolution. Most of our smaller items like property tax, franchise payments are tracking pretty much what was budgeted after our first two updates, and so they won't need any further updating, with the exception of the supplemental funding, sales use tax, mineral royalties, optional, and severance. And those for the third quarter produced $63,000, $291.30 in additional revenue above what was budgeted for that quarter. And this is the proposed amendment for expenditures commensurate with that increase in revenues. The insurance, our premiums actually increased almost double for what was budgeted. So we had $12,000 approximately budgeted for insurance, and it was actually $23,000 for our insurance costs. A lot of that came from the increase in our liability for the housing, or the roof, sorry, from the hail damage and the property damage at the senior center. And I guess that caused our premiums to almost double, as well as other costs around the state is what HUD informed me of the reason for the increase. The utilities also across the board have been higher than was projected from last year. I'm not sure if that, obviously a lot with COVID. We haven't had any of the utilities from the medical clinic actually hit yet, so this doesn't include that or the administration building. So this is what we actually budgeted for town hall, the police department, the library, and the town shop, and that's just what the utilities were over budget. The copier, that's here at administration. We're still just going through reams of paper and replacement parts. That just gets through the rest of the year. Supplies for the library, a nominal $500 increase, and it's just for adding some books and some bookshelves that are kind of falling apart. Probably need a little bit of updating as far as safety, because they do kind of lean and don't need anything falling over in the library. The law enforcement part-time, when we did the budget, it wasn't included for this long of a period of a part-time officer covering. So that's what that entails. As well as the vehicle, gas and oil. Gas prices have gone up, and if you remember in the budget period, we actually cut our line items for gasoline at the time because gas was below $2 a gallon, and it's now trickling up a little bit. And that's just to kind of keep us in line for the rest of the year. The greater repairs, that's $7,500, and that actually is for replacement of a tire, the 4 tires that I got from Buddy. And that will cover that replacement.
Is that 4 tires or 6 tires?
6 tires.
Okay.
So that would replace all 6 tires. And then the capital projects, that's something included that for the mayor in the package, which we'll go over later, $35,000. And that would be for the cost of the grant and acquisition of the properties, which totals $63,050, which is $241 less than the revenue adjustments that offset the expenditure adjustments. And then the following is the resolution, which is a resolution resolution number 2013. A resolution authorizing the increasing of fiscal year 2021 budget revenues for the town of Shoshoni. I'll read it in full. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni passed a budget resolution for fiscal year 2021, including expected revenues. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes revenue estimates were unknown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes revenues from both unexpected sources not budgeted and revenues in excess of budgeted revenues have been observed during the third quarter of the year. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni authorizes emergency increases in budgeted expenditures. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni authorizes the town treasurer to increase the budget of revenues of the following line items in the amount specified commensurate with revenues received in excess of budget. 1033-170 supplemental funding, $26,689.63. 1033-190 sales tax, $16,391.31. 1033-160 mineral royalties, $3,506.12. 1038-755 optional tax, $17,196.60. 1033-180 severance tax, $1,507.64.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution 2013 fiscal year 21?
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I would like to pull out item C, the purchase of properties, and discuss that before we, as a separate item, that 35,000, because I just received your notes today late, and I didn't really have a lot of time to read it.
Okay.
So I have no problems with the first items. Capital projects, I like to discuss it first.
Sure.
That's the resolution is just the revenue side, so we can add that back expenditure side with the commission tax later.
I think what you're saying, we can,
This is
but
revenue.
we got to approve later.
We have to, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Just-
I said we can treat it separately.
Right.
Okay, that's what I need to do.
Yes. Any further discussion? None being all in favor, say aye, approving resolution 2013 fiscal year 21 revenue and expenditures, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Property purchase.
So I'll go over this, that kind of explains part of that you were discussing. So this is the award letter for the Community Development Block Grant from WCDA. There's one change that was not known when we first applied and received this grant, which is that WCDA administers it, administrate, how do you want to say it? The word confuses me, beguiles me. The federal government actually awards this grant, and through the federal government, WCDA administers it. And so for that, they actually charged $20,000, which was unknown, and they apologized for that. And so what they had to do is they went back with this original sum of money, and they reapproved it for $140,000 as a total award package, of which the town of Shoshoni is responsible for $20,000 for 120 that we received. And that was unknown to them as well as we applied for it. So that is a new thing that has to go back through council to accept this award.
Are we the first one to get this?
And we are the first one in the state that's ever got it. So that's why they didn't know, or they didn't fully understand that component of the grant. And the conditions of the grant are that at least pre-development takes place on housing on both sites within 5 years after this grant is fully executed. Doesn't mean it has to be completely built, just that pre-development is taking place within that time frame.
You said housing?
Housing.
Okay, but Lip Rippers is a commercial area.
All Second Street's commercial.
Yes, so I'm thinking who would want to put housing in a commercial district?
Well, it could be expansion of the house that's next door to it, or it could be the back of the lot. They came out and when they did their site evaluation, that's what it was. It doesn't actually be a house per se, but
Could it be a business?
well,
I mean, see what I'm getting at? What happens if we don't have someone build a house on that property in 5 years?
It could be apartment.
Okay.
It could be an apartment.
I need that clarified. You said housing.
right, or it can be an exception to the house that's next door that they could add that lot into their existing.
Have those owners been contacted with that option?
Not yet. We have, 5 years, we're not that far in the process yet. It's just an option that would fulfill the obligation of the grant if we didn't actually build something on there or sell it to a developer or whatever came up in 5 years.
That's another option, to sell it to a developer?
Yes.
Okay, those things need to be brought out.
I have a question, Chris. It occurred to me today, in fact, would senior housing fit in there?
Here.
Like, could the town develop it
Yes.
as senior housing, and that would fit too? Okay,
Right here at Lip Rippers
well,
or the other?
yeah,
Oh,
I was thinking further down the street.
Yeah, Lip Rippers is a smaller lot, so they're limited. They came out and evaluated, and that's part of the master plan, things that can be done with it, whether it be a small building, a small single trailer, or extension of the lot next to it. Anything that has to do with any kind of development of housing in any way. For that one specific lot. The Shoshoni Motel is actually 4 lots on that one. Obviously, it's a different location and more probably desirable for space.
and if a business wanted to go there, would that be an option? Or
Well, it doesn't actually have to be developed, it just has to have the pre-development plan.
in 5 years? But a business, could you sell it as a, or is that not an option either?
I believe someone's got to live there. Maybe.
has to be attached to housing in some regard for the response.
So like could the existing hotel, the existing motel purchase that and
Expands.
expand? So it could be used for commercial purposes and under some circumstance.
I guess if you had a bigger lot, we had housing and well on that same lot with a residential or sorry, a commercial property of some sort.
Or someone could build a house there, or there again, apartment.
And their suggestion was actually putting a hedge there to block the noise of the road and then separation of the current maintenance shop on the corner. And then a setback there would be like a small 2-bedroom house type thing is what their suggestion was for WCB.
Kind of like the little tailplexes that we've been getting here in town already, that would be really good in there.
Kind of, yeah, like a
Yeah.
single
Yeah,
complex.
single level, yeah.
Where it's divided out. They suggested it be a hedge of some sort to break up the sound as well as the visibility and separate it from the aspect of looking at a commercial area. You know, where's the dividing line from commercial to a house? Is it there in the corner or further down? That was what they came up with. They came and evaluated the property.
What are the penalties? I mean, if we, let's say, get motel developed but not Lip Rippers, what are the penalties?
So like Lip Rippers property, whatever we paid for it, 20,000, 15,000, whatever it was, then we would pay it back. So the grant would, after 5 years, if we didn't have something like that, it would no longer be that portion. We would return that money back, basically.
Would there be interest on that?
Not that I'm aware of. As it's not a loan, it's just a block grant.
There again, they give us lots of time to develop it. The real important thing that, and particularly the Shoshoni Motel, we're getting rid of an eyesore that a realtor told me that was evaluating every property in town 5%.
Did that realtor give you a valuation of the property?
No,
Do we need to get that from a realtor?
We have a market analysis that was submitted with the application for both properties. As part of the application process for the grant.
Sure would be.
but what I guess would be our concern is valuation once the property is cleared off versus the amount of money we'll have invested. Would you agree to that?
I think it'd be nice to know what fair market value is on a dilapidated property. If we're calling it dilapidated, then
Well, okay, so the lots commercially raised about $9,000 per lot from our previous dealings in the past. This one has 4 lots, so that would
be a value of
just the
36,000.
land itself would be 36,000 for the Shoshoni Motel. Lip Rippers might be able to make a case for more or less, and selling the property to a developer of any kind that says it's housing to fulfill the obligations of a pre-development for housing. Now, whether that actually turns into housing in 5 years, we've met our obligation based on that contingency.
So based on the valuation of a lot, it seems we're working opposite. We're taking, this is what the lot is worth, and we're adding a bunch of value to the dilapidated building, saying, so if you take that one and say it's worth 36,000, but we're going to give you.
Yeah, what, you're missing the point.
Oh,
This is a grant. This is most of this is grant money. And it's for blight, urban blight. So to help our community, the government has these grants to take care of an eyesore, demolish an eyesore, and we have a clean lot to build on.
Oh, I understand that, but we're saying it's worth 36,000, but because the government's giving us free money, we're going to.
No, know what I'm saying? The government is giving us money to help better the town of Shoshoni. It's getting rid of an eyesore, which we need to get rid of. And they're saying, we will pay for that if you want to do that. We're asking you to put a little bit of skin in the game. We're going to clean it up, and then we can develop it into something that's much better. If we were going to tear that down on our own, or the landowner was going to tear that on their own, they may not be able to afford to do that. So that is why we're stepping forward. This is for the betterment of the town of Shoshoni.
And that the grant includes the purchase of the property as well as the demolition.
So I understand the grant, but we're still looking at, if we say the property is worth 36,000, it's got junk all over, but we're going to offer,
We're not offering anything.
or we're going to,
Look at your place, motherfucker.
Hey,
Whoa.
come,
Alright. You wanna pipe up, I'll pipe up too.
no, come on,
I'll get tough.
come on, no cussing.
Alright.
Okay, no cussing. We're having a discussion up here. Thank you.
Can you turn your speakers off? I heard him, but I haven't heard you guys. Yeah,
It's an echo.
already shut. I'm sorry, we're sitting here, we don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think another big thing with that property is I've pulled in and chased kids out of there multiple times at the last few years. The kids go there, hang out. If you've ever gone and looked at it, it's not a safe place for the kids to be hanging out in. So there's beds in there that people are sleeping in. Who knows what kind of people are sleeping in them? And it's nuisance to the children too. And I think that needs to be in consideration also.
so my question is based on here, what we're seeing
We're all
is,
gonna have to speak up now because we don't have no speakers.
That's okay.
so what I see here is we're saying the property is worth approximately 36,000, but we're willing to pay 60,000.
36,000 plus the shop. He said the land, that's 4 lots on the Shoshone
We're gonna keep the
Motel.
shop?
There's a shop. Yeah, we're not tearing it down.
Because it was built when? Isn't it a dilapidated? I'm just asking.
No,
this.
it's not dilapidated. In fact, my father built that shop.
Isn't it only costing us 20 grand? Is that?
Yes.
So what we're saying, the land value is greater than the money the town will have invested in this. We can sell this. The idea isn't to make money, but we probably can make money. If we break even and we get rid of that eyesore, I say it's a big win for the town of Shoshoni. That's what I feel. And then we're lucky the federal government and the state are willing to help us do that. If not, what would our options be to do that? If you try to force a landowner to do that, there's mechanisms that eventually can get done. A few years down the road, it could maybe get done. We could possibly condemn the property. The town would own it. Then the town would be responsible on their own nickel for the demolition.
So I think what's in question is not whether I think we're on board. This is a good idea. The
Okay.
question is, are we overpaying for it? That's my question. I mean, if we had a realtor come in and say, if the realtor said it's worth 50,000 and we made the landowner offer 50,000, if they said it's worth 100,000 and they said, well, I don't need 100,000.
If we have landowners that are saying this is what they will take for whatever reason, and they won't move off that, we can't force them to take whatever we want to give them.
Sure, understandable.
Okay, so I've been working on the numbers, trust me. I've made, this has been going on for several months, multiple months. And I've been told, take it or leave it, this is where we're at. We'll figure out how to deal with it other ways. I think for the betterment of the town of Shoshone, we purchase these at at the price that we're suggesting, it comes in probably maybe more than what I want to spend for it, but I don't know, I don't like the other solution.
But the grant is different. If the town was buying it with the town's money, then that would, the market
Sure.
value. The grant was set at that price, and so it changes the dynamic a little bit as far as what's being paid for and the valuation within the confines of that grant for the demolition and acquisition and things like that. That's where we have that number. If we don't spend it all, then it goes back. We still are out, but we have to pay for the grant. So if somehow we pay $40,000, we don't have the extra money that we can, from the grant, that we can put into something else. It all has to go towards that project. So whether we pay $100,000 for the project, $60,000, $20,000, $15,000, it doesn't change that dynamic. And once that money is only for that purpose, that's all it can be spent for, and it can't be repurposed for anything else.
And this property has been inspected. They've came up and have inspected and gave the authorization for this amount.
Do they contain asbestos?
Pardon?
Do they contain asbestos?
Yes, they do.
So in question of that, what if the cost of demolition exceeds is this an engineer's estimate on the demolition side?
I have another part of this component down further down the line about that as well. So the DEQ through EPA, once we own the property, there's a grant that will mitigate the asbestos on that dime. It's not a brownfield, it's actually through the EPA. So that once we have that, we actually got that application put in today for that as well. We've been in contact with them. So that would pay for that component of it after we acquire the property, and the demolition, they cover the mitigation of the asbestos on both properties.
And that's a 95%, 5% grant.
Sure, because I imagine the asbestos removal on the motel could, I don't know how much it's in. I've seen other projects that
Yeah,
They're horrendous.
we have estimates that, you haven't had a chance probably to read my note I put out, but it included that.
I read the note that anybody had your estimate on there.
Okay, that's where the estimate came from.
So
We've had it inspected. and-
so the asbestos aside though, so if it came back in where would the funding come from if the low bid was in excess of what you have suggested here for demolition cost?
The grant would, you're talking about the asbestos removal?
No, not the asbestos. So, because we have two numbers here for this would be the estimated cost to demo the buildings. That's part of the grant right now.
Sure.
So if that number was, let's say it was in $10,000 excess, if trucking happened or land or whatever, if it went up,
Right.
where would that funding come from?
We've received a estimate of the cost for that. Had an engineer review it. I mean,
So I understand
we're
that.
comfortable on these costs.
A friend of mine just
come up
bid.
with these.
They just had a bid in Fort Washington, and the engineer's estimate was roughly 500,000. It was done several months ago, and the low bid came back, I think, 750,000. So it was 250,000 above the engineer's
Mhm.
estimate at the time. And I don't know if I don't know what they'll do, but everybody's bids were in excess of what was anticipated. So it's just asking if this was higher than.
So if it goes over 120, then the town would pay for whatever above that.
So that's where part of my question would be, so if we spent less on the property, so let's suppose you held out $5,000 from your offer and use that as a contingent on if the demolition cost was higher than planned. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Kind of that skin in the game, because nobody entirely knows, but if it's less than, then give it to the owner. If it's not, then the town doesn't have to add the extra cost to
You've
it.
negotiated on the price
Yeah.
already, correct?
Yeah, this is, the numbers representing here is a number I think they'll take that's, is that on the Shoshoni Motel, they told, that's been a negotiation hasn't been, well, they'll walk away from it. I do believe.
Mr.
We're
Mayor.
real comfortable. These numbers aren't something that's happening. I'm real comfortable with those numbers. And we have a cushion built into those numbers to anticipate some of that. Well, we don't have the exact, as far as demo, that isn't the number we've got. We gotta build a cushion into that to protect the city. That we've already done. The number I presented there is not the estimate or of what that's gonna be. We put a cushion in there to protect the town. It's not the exact to the dollar. There's a substantial cushion in there for unforeseen. Yes, excuse me, Ron.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I had an advantage that you didn't have. Chris and I visited about that for 2 hours, hour and a half
Somewhere in there.
last Wednesday, and we went over the same questions you were asking with the same concerns. And we have the money, the timing's now, and I mean, we could get it for free eventually, but who wants to wait that
Correct.
long? And then what I looked at, and I agree with you, is when you look, there are some other components to this. And when you look down the road at the end, unless we have a disastrous train wreck that I don't think could happen at the end, I think we're going to come out getting some pretty nice looking pieces of property for very little money. And my view is that eventually we want out of the real estate business altogether. And this will actually help us do that. So, I mean, I appreciate your questions because I had the same ones. I really did.
As a council member, I wished I would have had this information last week so I could read it, have these questions
Yeah.
answered prior to this.
We've been putting the numbers together.
Yeah.
I've been negotiating price. We just
You know,
came up with the final numbers. We've been talking with the DEQ.
I'm just
And-
saying that I wished I had this information earlier. That's all I'm saying. It's
Well, yeah, I
easier to make
wish I had
decisions
it,
and I could think about it, think about my questions, and you come back and have those announced. Oh, now you need to make a decision. And it's like, I've only read this once, basically.
About the letter from WCDA,
Mhm.
we were going kind of on speculation. It was dated March 22nd. That's why
Yeah, I see
I
that.
had it.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but timing is important.
Yeah.
And that's why we had some generalizations, but we really had to tie down some numbers. Concerned that our numbers are still good. There's multiple people we had to talk to. We've been working. Du Bois just went through this. So I contacted the mayor of Du Bois and worked over the asbestos abatement and got some guidance from them. We're going to end up with an engineer involved with this stuff, and Du Bois has been helping us go through this. I mean, we had a lot of loose ends that we had to tie together. We ended up with more asbestos than we thought in the buildings, one of the things. So, but anyway, it's WCDA. We reached out to WCDA, DEQ, reached out to DEQ about the asbestos abatement, and they brought us into this program where, quite frankly, there was two asbestos in there, project would have been dead without their grant. And so, but there's a lot of moving pieces to that, and I didn't want to send out false information. So we finally got some numbers tied down, and that's why I apologize for being so late. You're right. But I didn't have the numbers. Sort of, these numbers here are are real good. You know, and I think the valuations of what we're looking at is going to be at least equal to, I think, in excess of the money that we actually have in the town. And I think it benefits the town to have that removed. That's I believe that. I think it's for the betterment of Shoshoni to get that down. You know, in the future, we might even be able to use this to help some remove some of the other old houses that are in town that if they had a good clean site, could put a nice home there. I don't know.
Well, I just add that we talked to WCDA, the grants they give, the reason they are that way, and the federal grants that are of this nature are given to communities that want to help themselves. So it requires a community doing something. It's not for free, and that's where some of those components comes into play.
Any other questions? I'll do the best I can to answer them, but that's kind of. I think we had a motion in a second, or we just start discussing first?
No, I went over the.
Right, that's right.
Because with this grant had already been approved by the council previously, but then they changed the grant. That's so now it has to be reapproved with that stipulation of the $20,000 for the cost of the grant.
Originally, we weren't aware of the $20,000.
Well, you were they. So.
Yeah.
We're just moving forward with what the previous council already did.
The previous council approved it, yes.
But it changed, so now we have to reapprove.
Can I go on record as saying I don't want to give any money back to Uncle Sam?
But we weren't aware of it, and they weren't aware of it, so we're the first one to get it. And that's what we ended up with. Still a good investment in our community and in the future of our town. Everybody hear me okay? I'm not, thank you. So I would like a motion to move forward on this to approve give me authorization to sign acceptance of the grant papers and to move forward on the purchase of the two properties, the old Shoshoni Motel and the Lip Rippers property. The combined price of the two would be $80,000. Do we need to make that two motions, Chris?
I would suggest it.
Yeah, let's first approve the resolution. When I said it, that's what I was suggesting too.
Okay. So we're making another motion for the resolution.
Well, yeah, they approved
I'll
the
move to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
So we say not to exceed.
been moved second to approve the grant of $140,000, which the town of Shoshoni will have to contribute $20,000. Any further discussion from anybody? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Passed unanimously. Now can I have a motion to approve the purchase of the Shoshoni Motel for $60,000, Lip Rippers for $20,000 for a combination total of $80,000.
No motion that make the purchase for the Shoshoni Hotel for 60 and the purpose of 20 for a total of $80,000.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and second approve the purchase of the Shoshoni Motel for $60,000, Lip Rippers for $20,000, for a total of $80,000. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passed unanimously. Okay, Wayne Olson's applied for a building permit, 215 West 7th Street. What's that read?
Which one? Oh, he's working for Confidence Builders.
Oh, for Confidence Builders is gonna build it. Home remodel. We have evaluation,
We have, yeah, 70,000.
70,000.
Here's the floor plan.
Yeah, I have that.
Any questions? None being, all in favor to approve the Wayne Olson's building permit, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Kayla Phillips, alcohol consumption permit.
I move we approve Kayla Phillips alcohol permit.
Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve Kayla Phillips alcohol permit on the 9th, April 9th, 21, 6:30 PM to 8 PM. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed unanimously. Confidence Builders variance permit. We didn't have a motion we didn't have a first and second on
Just
Wayne
went
Olson.
straight to all in favor.
Good
Been
catch.
corrected, been corrected.
Is that,
I thought we
You're
did.
right. I thought maybe I just spaced it out.
Okay,
okay,
can we have a motion on Wayne Olson building permit?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
thank you.
All in favor, any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion. Thank you.
Confidence Builders.
Confidence Builders.
I think Lynn's here. Oh, Tim's here. You want this back, Lynn?
What's that?
You want this back or you want
I can make another one.
I don't think I can project this one on the screen.
No, probably not.
So this variance request. So I believe this variance request is in reference to the coach spaces on a trailer port on on a land use permit issued for RV park / trailer court. The stipulation is that it must be 25 feet wide. I believe that the variance is going to be 20 feet.
Correct.
So the variance would be to decrease the width of the spaces by 5 feet, 25 feet, to 20 feet.
So when the original ordinance was done, it was for trailer courts for your single wides.
Correct.
This is an RV park, so they're a lot smaller than that. So that is why we're requesting it to be 20 feet instead of the 25 feet, so that we can have an RV park and not have trailer, single wide trailers in there.
Right.
So,
Because you don't need much.
right.
And the minimum square footage of this is 1,000 square feet, which I believe these are all 1,600 square feet.
They're 1.5. They're 1.5 times what we're asking. So yes, they're over.
But all, yeah, the total square footage is over 1,000. So the variance is only for just the width specifically.
Correct.
Everything else.
We're making them 8 feet long, just to accommodate modern vehicles going on the road.
I got it. You go to the Zoom.
Where's the location of this?
This will be on the football field of the old school property. That will be phase 1.
So is
our
this
game
the-
plan- Our game plan, this is California right here. And this is Fifth Street.
This is the old admin. Approximately.
Nope,
Or-
admin's old up here. Okay,
First 4th Street.
so
Fourth Street does not exist.
it doesn't
Oh.
exist at all. And we don't plan it to exist. Okay, so we're also looking at possibly putting bathrooms and showers in
Is
this
it,
area.
will this be the highway?
No,
Or is the highway still
the
further?
highway's still
So you're
over
talking,
here.
this is just
Just
the
football
grass,
field.
grass
Mhm,
space.
mhm.
Got it.
And so Mike has, partner Mike Norwood has test run, putting the trailer in the back of his truck and also, he doesn't have a boat, but another extended trailer, just to make sure that everything fit appropriately. So these would probably be for the pull-throughs, the big, RVs, the buses
Sure.
type diesel pushers through there. And these would be the
Singles.
single, yeah, like your full,
Is there only one, there's only one way in, one way out
correct,
currently? Or-
yes, that's the beam. So there won't be congestion on the streets.
Got it. Good for you guys.
Well, in today's modern society, we are looking for housing, and this is a temporary type of thing for the town to grow. We're also looking for, to help other entities in the town as far as bringing 3-on-3 basketball and, other things to our town here.
Is there a length of time in our code of how long somebody can stay at an RV?
So we have, the general one is 2 weeks, but that's in a residential. There's exemptions that can be given. On an RV park, it's managed by section 15, which you should have on here too. So they can actually stay here longer, but up to 3 months, it has to be excluded after that. So that's specific to just a trailer court versus a trailer on someone's residential lot that they're staying. It's managed by 2 weeks. This gives them more time. But after 3 months, they'd have to be skirted around. It's no longer temporary. Is how the difference between the two.
Is this intended for long stay? If it happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly. or testing the others.
I will say, talking with John Bass with the state parks and Rick on the marina, they're both have campers, RVs. They said they need more. If they felt if they had more RV spots in Shoshoni, that would increase the business on the lake, would actually help the marina, would not be in competition with them, actually benefit and have more use of the park and the lake. That they said that would be, I had a concern. This over a year ago, I talked to them about this and concerned and had other entities talk about us trailer park and stuff, RV park. Are we competing with who, that is any kind of, what would they think about it? And they thought that it would be good. And it would be like 3-on-3 basketball, baseball, whatever we have. Fly-wheelers want to come in. We got to have a place for them to park.
Got a question. I don't know, if you don't mind.
No, please speak up.
I have one too.
So with it being a temporary space, maybe maybe not, would lodging tax apply? So this would actually increase revenues for the town of Shoshoni because we don't have a motel that we actually have. But this would actually provide a lodging tax for anyone that stays here throughout the year. Just want to put it up.
Another benefit for Shoshone.
I think lodging tax applies for the first 30 days. But yeah, be a good thing.
Yes.
Can I look at that? Let me do it.
I'm sure.
Good.
Now you pulled up section 15. I did too in my ordinance book. I'm reading 15-3. Allowable location. A. Mobile homes, travel trailers shall be allowed within town, such areas that are not in conflict with provisions of the zoning code. So that's reading the first sentence of 15-3. Then I go to the zoning code. Mobile home parks are R4s, not R3s. I believe they need to have this land rezoned.
Correct.
That too.
So we need a public hearing on it. I'm just reading what the book says. It's an R3 right now.
Right.
I would jump to section 19-13. Uses permitted in R4 district. Mobile home parks. When I go to R3, it says mobile homes. Those are private homes on private lots. I believe you need to have a public hearing and a zoning. I want to follow, make sure we don't do
Correct.
anything wrong.
Me too.
When we were looking at it in the office, it applied under R3 because it wasn't a mobile home park, it was an RV park. It was
You don't have anything in our ordinance in RV parks.
yeah, exactly.
And so
Correct.
they went through their concept of going through a mobile home park, changing the variances based upon that. So therefore, they should still follow the requirements under zoning, which is R4. We need to have a public hearing and change the zoning. That's all I'm saying. I understand the request for variance and I would support that completely, but we need to follow the law. Our ordinances.
No, agreed.
Now I'm confused.
Okay,
We were instructed that was an R3, and that's why
okay,
we
so
went this direction, so.
I agree.
I mean,
Okay.
we're ignorant to
So,
what's going on.
But you're not talking mobile homes.
No, we're not talking.
You're talking
about
travel
homes,
trailers.
Travel
Yes.
trailers.
So you'd have to see what the definition is.
okay, that's beginning of section 15.
Okay. I
Okay,
don't have that.
mobile home. A large okay, my mistake, there's mobile home. A single prefab structure designed for transportation after fabrication on streets and highways on its own wheels and chassis, arriving at the site where it's to be occupied as a dwelling, complete with ready for assembly operations, location on jacks, permanent foundations, connections to utilities and light. Okay, so that's the whole paragraph there. We have motor homes, a large motor vehicle with a truck chassis equipped as living quarters, outfitted as a traveling home. We have camp trailers. We have travel trailers. And the difference between those two is length. Okay. What I'm saying, if we're going through this based on our concept of a mobile home as a mobile home park, mobile home parks are listed as R4.
It's an RV
It's
park.
gonna
It's
be-
not a
But we don't have an RV ordinance in our book.
I hear you.
What's the length of a travel trailer, up to what length? Is it like 35 foot or?
32 feet, okay. Camp trailer is less than 32 feet. A travel trailer is more than 32 feet. We have camp trailers, camper trailers.
Okay, I know there's footage restrictions.
It's still not the question I had.
That's your question.
I just don't want to be rude.
Chris is looking up what I said.
When you guys were doing your research, you want to go from 25 to 20. What's typical? Is 20 enough that it's going to keep you out of problems with insurance or the fire marshal or home rule? I mean, that's pretty much standard, isn't it? That
I
is,
believe so.
okay. I just didn't want anybody to get jammed up.
I think if you look at the difference, if you look at the standards, regulations for travel, for a mobile, not for a travel trailer, RV park,
Sure, it's going to be less.
they're not 25 foot. And I think we don't have adopted, but if you look at the standardized footprint for an RV park,
Yeah,
it's less.
it's fine. I'm pretty sure you're right. I just
Yeah.
wanted to see if they'd already checked that.
What is the zone on the other ones, like the one behind the motel?
Pardon?
What is the zone on?
On the motel?
parks behind the motel?
I believe that's commercial.
Okay.
That was my question, what, you were talking at, whether that was commercial or private.
Yeah, I'm believing that's, I could take a look at it, but I believe that's commercial.
So that's a whole different set. Jules?
Yeah, commercial allow everything, R4, everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Here, that's all commercial.
My book. So my book is what I got.
Yeah, it's all commercial.
I understand exactly what Bob's saying, and I agree with him. I think our interpretation can easily, I won't say circumflex, it says mobile home in the yard.
Here, but section.
I guess what the problem is we really don't have a zoning regulation for RV parks.
RV blocks.
Myself, I want to say thank you to you guys for what you guys are doing for the town and trying to help it grow. I support this 100%. I'll be there to take it. Help push it.
That's right.
And legal.
That's what I'm saying, because
Thank you.
section 15 here, we need to apply section 15.
Yeah, I think we're pretty firm grounded pass it tonight and then down the road, we're on an ordinance for an RV park.
Does that get into, will that change anything with the neighbors? As far as anybody that lives on Fifth Street or California, is that?
I'll bet it doesn't have to be rezoned, but I appreciate the conversation.
Well, sure. Tell Joel what you were just saying.
Since we're kind of all in agreement that it's not, they're not mobile homes, can we pass the request for a variance based on the fact that they're not mobile homes? And then down the road, work on an ordinance for RV parks. By then they'd be grandfathered in. You see what I'm saying? So I understand exactly what you're saying, Bob. Agree 100%. But we're probably going to disagree on the interpretation because I'm going, if it's not a mobile home, it's not a mobile home. So we don't have to follow the mobile home ordinance.
That's what I'm saying. They're using the mobile home ordinance for their variance, therefore.
Oh,
Because of
duh. Now
we
I
need to
got
follow
it.
the mobile home requirements.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. I'm a little slow at times. See what he's saying? Yeah.
Technical thing. No one's in opposition of what you want.
I'm not
to do.
against the dance. They're variance. I'm saying we should have a public hearing, have the, or rezoning, and have it zoned R4, as our book says. Mobile home parks are R4.
Oh.
That was
And
Article 2. was driven forward.
So where are you at?
Over there looking at
Article 2.
the little instruments there. Oh, yeah.
Okay, section 15.
Yep. Further down.
These flip flops.
On Fourth Street. What is that? There's some campus there. What is that? Long term, but they're still there.
I think they have skirting, don't they?
Right. But they're still there. Compared to what they don't, they weren't all skirted immediately.
But that's not a,
Section 15, what?
what, I don't know if that's a trailer. I don't know where you're talking about for sure. I don't know for sure where you're talking about.
Between T and A Street.
Well, it's better down, most of your place over by Nick, Nick's Hoffman's house on the corner there, and Al Kenyon's sister was living there, I believe.
It's zoned residential.
This is correct, right?
According to county map,
Can
it's
we-
residential.
Come on, speak to the microphone. I don't know if they're hearing you. I'm having trouble hearing.
Governing body issues.
It's our farm.
Pardon? R4.
Needs stipulations of the size.
Right. And that's what the variance they wanted.
That's where they wanted.
Yes.
Under Article 2 though, for trailer courts, not for trailer parks. That was.
No, there's
no.
And what's the difference between the definitions of the two?
Definition.
It's been.
Yeah, right.
Mobile home and a trailer can be placed. That's where the R4 comes in. So we talked there.
Okay.
Trailer court, RV court. better off. This is we have, it covers.
15-8. That's gonna be, they're gonna be in all four trailer court, trailer park. Trailer park has to be.
That's where.
Okay.
That's where that whole thing came in.
Hey.
That's not very clear.
That's
And
big.
it doesn't have a definition of trailer park or trailer court.
No, they don't.
But they, didn't it have a definition of what was in there? Didn't it explain the difference of trailer park, the trailer court, different what kind of trailers?
No, they didn't. They just listed in the beginning the definitions of each type of unit. That's what.
Trailer coaches.
The one was a travel trailer, the trailer court was like RV. That's what it's not.
One didn't want to include travel trailers and the other one didn't.
The parts.
Where's the trailer park? That says trailer.
Coaches.
Trailer court has to be on. Okay, what's trailer court?
So my question would be, is all on 6th Street, B2 Wyoming stuff is all R3. Every trailer lot on 6th Street is owned R3. So that would be B2 Wyoming.
Right. Further.
So I guess that's not Al King, that would be Nick Bebow.
Right, she has a mobile home park.
This is the trailer court, not a mobile park. That's
See what I'm saying?
And
I didn't know that.
What's the mobile?
Thank you.
park again?
So, and that's mobile homes. I mean, that's our main trailer park in the town, really. I know we have them scattered everywhere, but that's our slew of them.
Right now, I'm trying to follow the ordinance as I read it.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying then everything else isn't zoned correctly either.
Then it's up to the council to redo zoning and redo this look at it's antiquated.
I'm just saying if there's mobile homes, and I brought a mobile home into that same trailer court in 2013.
I didn't know that.
So that's only 7 years ago. And it was still allowed then. So I'm not questioning you. I'm just saying in general, if that whole 6th Street's R3, I don't know what my saying is, what's the question with this?
I am trying to follow our ordinance book.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
Because if we don't, the town could get in trouble. And I want to protect the town. That's all.
I'm not questioning you, Bob. I'm
Okay,
just making a statement.
That's what that's my answer. I want to protect the town, make sure we follow the ordinances that we have.
Mr. Mayor?
Problem.
I think they're talking, we were just talking about
Just come up here, Jody.
So my question is they're wanting to put a camp trailer, make it an RV instead of a mobile home. Is that correct? So there is, I look at it as this, a mobile home is something that you're going to pull in here and put it on a foundation. A camp trailer or a travel trailer would be an RV park. And I guess that's what I'm trying to make sure that's what you're saying. They want to put a travel trailer instead of a mobile home. And that's what they're asking is the variance for the permanent portion instead of the travel trailer. Is that correct, Bob?
No, I don't understand. What I'm saying, because they use section 15, which defines
Mobile home is a living house that's on a permanent
They
foundation.
also list camp trailers, tent trailers,
Okay,
okay, skid structures,
Okay.
all that stuff.
okay,
Then in section 15, section 15-3, allowable locations, mobile homes and travel trailers shall be allowed within the town limits in such areas that are not in conflict with provisions of the zoning code. So then I
so,
go to the zoning code,
okay,
and zoning code says mobile home parks in section 19-13 are R4. This is an R3 area. All I'm saying is that I agree with your request for your variance, no problem.
gotcha.
Let's have a public hearing, let the people and rezone this property properly. That's what I'm saying.
Don't-
All the ordinances.
That's fine. That's what I was just trying to make sure is that that's what you were trying to do. So it's zone 3 or whatever, but it needs to be a different zone so they can do whatever they want to do. And that's not the issue is what they're doing. We
Right.
just need to
It's
move.
not the issue what they're doing. It's-
Okay.
For me, let's follow the law.
Okay, thanks. That clears that up for me.
But is there a difference between a mobile home park and an RV park?
That's what I don't understand.
That's what I don't get.
That's what I'm not understanding, because on Sixth Street, that is a mobile home park. That is, Jody said foundation, but there is not any trailers on that Sixth Street that are on a permanent foundation. They're all on cinder block, leveled with hurricane ties. But I bet 95% of those trailer homes don't even have the hurricane ties. And so they're, hopefully we don't get a bad wind, or they really are going to be mobile. However, I'm saying that all of Sixth Street is zoned R3, which is all trailer houses.
I believe where this came from, we don't have any zoning that addresses an
RV park.
RV park. But I talking, I believe, talked with Mike maybe a little bit about this, that they're following the regulations as well, the footage and stuff for federal regulation. And federal regulations have R3 zoning for RV parks. And I believe it is designing as RV park, if I'm correct, by federal guidance, instead of just willy-nilly just throwing trailers out. They actually did some research, and I believe that's maybe where our confusion is, because Shoshoni actually doesn't have ordinance
If there's not an,
to address that.
then you can't enforce it.
And so if we followed federal regulations on something like that, I guess we have two options. Because even if we rezoned it to R4, it still doesn't address the issue, because that's not for RV parks. Probably what we need to do is adopt the federal guideline on this. All this stuff is probably going to take place when we get our master plan, because we have a lot of our ordinance, we have a lot of gaps in like this that needs ultimately change. We can
I'm only one person, but I
Yeah,
would
no,
say
and I
think we should-
appreciate Bob.
no
for
ordinance
bringing that up. I appreciate
moving
everybody-
forward and make an
everybody's
ordinance.
talk. But we don't have anything addressing this, so what's for the best interest of the town? Any thoughts?
Yeah, and Joe, one thing I guess we would ask is a variance, just so we can continue moving. We got a block of time that we can continue moving instead of backing us up a couple months, to jump through the hoops that should have been here to begin with. It's not our fault of the zoning. Our intentions with the property is nothing but positive to the town. And I'd be asking you folks to do a variance and then work on getting it situated.
Work on our ordinance.
And adopt something that's a national standard. You know, it's pretty black and white. It really is. You know, we're not trying to do anything with the property that.
Correct.
You know, it's, because if we did have to back up and jump through a couple months worth of hoops, we'd probably lose our interest.
Yeah. So what you'd be asking is for a variance as town gets their act together and develops the rules
Correct.
for.
That should have been in place.
I agree.
Long before now.
Agreed.
I'll make the motion that we move on with this variance for this RV,
The variance stuff.
move forward on it and let them get started on it.
Then once they continue doing the work and you adopt the ordinance or whatever, as they complete their work and you have your ordinance, so if we get that ball rolling fairly quick, as they complete their work, it's got to fit into your ordinance. Basically, they don't get to do anything out of their realms. Obviously, they're not, because they're following the whatever national guidelines or whatever.
You're following the guidelines anyway, correct?
We are. We're following the the national guidelines. We are laying these out.
As long as that all papers and all T's are dotted, I's are dotted, T's are crossed.
And I assure all the council that this will be a park that Shoshoni will be proud of. I guarantee you that.
Our discussion I think we had earlier is not, you're just gonna throw a little gravel trailer park.
No,
There's gonna be.
We're gonna use that old school well, and anything we put green, we're gonna put automated water on, and we're gonna have green and grass every place we can. I mean, it's gonna be a first rate outfit, no doubt.
Yes.
My motion stands.
Can I get a second? I guess the motion would be to allow Compass Builders to start their construction on their new RV park so they can get it done. And we'll commit to them that we'll jump on this and work on adopting national standards for RV parks and make that part of our ordinance.
That would be awesome. We bet.
Can I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that if I get first dibs at a short discussion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we we give a variance to Compass Builders, allow them to start their construction on their RV park, which they are building to national standards for RV parks. Discussion.
Now, I just wanted to add that, there's always a concern at every level of government. Oh, you pick this law to follow or this ordinance to follow. That's just perpetual. It's gone on since the beginning of time. And I agree with Bob. We need to, follow the ordinances to the letter. But in this particular case, I don't think we have an ordinance to abuse one way or the other. So I really see no reason why you shouldn't proceed. And then we'll my suggestion would be we'll sit down and we'll fix that rather than do a new ordinance. But you see where I'm coming from?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion, but I really don't think we're out of line doing this. But
No, it's,
yeah,
we don't have a darn ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We have
It's
no
not like we're-
regulations to guide us.
yeah.
I don't have concerns that it's going to be built properly and right and follow the guidelines. If I had that problem, I would be concerning.
The only place would be a concern of mine is if we don't have something in place by the time they open up for tourist season.
No, we need to, we need to act on this, because it's not in conflict with an ordinance, because we don't have a darn ordinance.
In the history of what they've done for the town too, I mean, that stands, high with me. It's all big help for the town, trying to get more families in, trying to get some more teachers in. I mean, I support 100% everything he has been doing for our town.
Indeed, our thoughts and intentions are with the town. Like you say, that's a fact.
Any more discussion?
You'd have a dog run in there.
Definitely. And a playground.
Yeah, dog run was something we definitely are aware we need in, for sure. Not running over to your orchard.
Wait and see what the adult plates think.
Any more discussion? All in favor say, of the said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I need to abstain.
Be noted that Councilman Zen abstained from vote,
From voting.
from voting.
So, yeah.
Why?
Possible conflict of interest.
Okay. So noted. Well, so all in favor, we said aye. We had 4 in favor, 1 abstain. Motion passed. Thank you.
She'll tell you about it later.
I appreciate everybody's comments on this. Good catch, Bob, on that.
It's ambiguous. So what do you do?
We went through the same thing
I
with
think
Tim. Jane,
Yeah,
if he'd have gone ahead with,
it's,
Tim was trying to do that.
appearances by citizens, am I right, Kathy? Moving on.
Yes.
Brian Donahue, Mom's Tree Care and Landscaping.
How we doing today?
Good evening, Mr. Donahue. It's good to see you.
You too. I was approached by Buddy about all the stumps in the older part. They're growing under the fence. A lot of them are suckered up. So what's going to happen? It's going to tear your fence up. Trip hazard for anybody. I mean, I gave a really good deal for the city because I'd like to clean the city up. Like you drive through town, and if you really start looking, most of our trees are dead. Like they haven't been taken care of. I started a business here. I've done trees. I've worked with Mike, Bo. I was approached by Buddy. He asked me if I had a stump grinder. I got a stump grinder. He tried to remove them. And did that work for you? So Chris has my proposal. I can't read that.
You got glasses on.
Can't read that.
Well, I'll say when he was showing me on the tree that he took down, what's going on with those trees with that bug and stuff that's going on. It's really doing it. You show me on the branches where they're eating their way through all these big tunnels and everything else, and how you'd have this whole big section of the branch would be dead, then all of a sudden you just have a couple of little sprouts going over here. They get inside that thing and they get it kind of hollowed out. That's what's causing the branches to break and fall on cars and everything else. But you gave me an education on it today when you were showing me my tree.
They're boars, and this town.
Buddy and I had education on it today.
I don't know. You probably see my truck driving around through the alleys, up the streets. Like I got pictures of hundreds of trees that have them. If they're not like taken care of, they have pesticides that you can spray the tree, which a lot of the trees are already so damaged that they might not make it 2 or 3 more years. I mean, we can spray the trees, try to save what we can. A lot of these trees, you know how long it takes to get a tree 30 foot tall? Most of us in here, we ain't ever gonna see one. So, I mean, I'd like to see the town get cleaned up and, I'd like to be part of it. I mean, I got an application at my house for City for Trees. I talked to you about that before. It's a grant from the government that they'll help us pay to clean the trees up. The two main streets of this, when you drive through, before I moved here, I drove through and was like, holy shit, look, what is this little trashy town? And I just kept driving. Now I live here and it's like holy crap. Yeah, right. You'll have to read it. I can't read that.
One thing I'd have to ask Chris, where would we fund this from?
Well, let me back up. That far. That would be that $35,000 under capital projects included that, the Shoshoni Motel and the tires for the road grader.
Well, your revenue is 63 and your expenditures are
63.
63. Okay, it was different for some reason.
Is Buddy here?
Yeah, right here.
Could you speak on the subject, please?
Explain that.
I had Buddy, Ron, everybody stopped by where I was working at Bo's place. And you can't just look up at the tree and go, oh, it's got bugs. Like there's a lot of signs that if you look at your trees and it's weeping and there's black stuff coming down it, if you walk up there and look, there'll be a ball that almost looks like really fine sawdust. You take a stick and just poke around, that's where that borer went in that tree. And they go in there and they'll come out of the tree, but right there, they call it skirting. Once they start to come out, they go around the tree, which pretty much kills the tree right there. So it just rots inside. And then next thing you know, it's on your car, the neighbor's house, or they're bad in this town. I mean, if you guys like your trees, you should look at them. I'm not kidding. We're going to go for a ride. Ask Buddy. Are we not?
Yeah.
I just walked across the street and said, come here, look, let me show you. And them trees were full of them. I checked the trees at B&K. One tree out there out of all of them had borers. I could drive you through town and show you it's bad.
And I can speak on the stump grinding that he proposed there. It's a lot cheaper. I had one other person here a couple years ago come in, look at, and it was probably about 4 times as much to them. So, we've got a lot of stumps at Center Park there.
Yeah.
That I had the Honor Farm a couple years ago come in. It was free labor, but they cut a bunch of them down. And like you said, we constantly have them suckers coming up.
Yeah.
I tried burning them. I tried tearing them out with a backhoe. It just didn't work for us. So that's when I caught him and said, hey man, you got a stump grinder, So I've just seen his proposal, which like I say is a heck of a lot cheaper than.
I priced some a while back for 400.
It's pricey.
Yeah.
So
Usually it's like $6 an inch. You measure across and there's a $200 minimum. I did it for the city just to help, I'd like to see the city change and, look nice instead of all the dead trees and the dirt and
Then also, we've got a lot of these trees in these parks that on the maintenance side with our little man basket with our backhoe, we can't reach them. We try, we get up as high as we can, so maybe they can work a deal with Brian to, he can scurry up there. I'm not going to scurry, but there's a lot of them that we do need trimmed up, and that was included in on a quote prior that was
right.
It come in real pricey, so we just kind of let that go.
Right.
It was just too much. So
okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
There's really 2 issues here, of course. One is the maintenance part that's going on You lost a tree to those bugs. I'm losing 2 trees to those bugs. We're trying to milk every inch of life out of that thing. And I would be more than happy, and I think it's worth looking into. I spent quite a bit of time this afternoon, land and water conservation, whatever that is, it's going through state parks. They still have monies available for that kind of thing. And as does state forestry, you know, for the stuff that's on town property. And I'd really like to volunteer for Bud and myself and Brian there to get together. I hate committees, but you could call it a committee. Get together and kind of look into this.
I think it's a great idea.
To come up with something to bring to the council.
And I believe, you know, like the two main streets, this road and that road, that's like the Hollywood Drive of the town. You know, people that come through, you drive
That's
through.
an impression that she's showing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So.
That's what we're trying to fix up.
Yes.
It should cost quite a bit more than that, but.
Is the proposal firm?
Yes, sir.
What was that, the total of that?
3,700.
What was it again?
3,740.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the Mother's Tree, what is it?
Mom's Tree Care.
Mom's Tree Care to as bidded, as suggested, $3,740 for removal of stumps, tree overgrowth and park trees.
A lot of the trees in there, they're just suckers. A lot of them are suckers down the whole back of that. They're off of the stump. That's what they are. A lot of them on the side, those are just suckers too. They're right under the fence. You know, it'll eventually tear the fence up, could tear your concrete up, the sidewalk.
Just other things come by the rest stop.
What's that?
The rest stop coming into town, the toilets down there, that's where the other trees are. That you gotta trim.
Yeah.
You're gonna do that
I
for
mean, you even go to I even went to the post office.
I said, you're gonna do that? For
No,
$200?
I'm doing the park behind the senior center.
The senior center.
Okay.
That part. There's 18 stumps in there. And
Yeah, but I mean, where it says east side tree overgrowth.
It's one big tree on the east side.
Yeah,
There's
down
one.
by the toilet, the bathrooms down there.
No, he's talking about Central.
Yeah,
This
but
is
I
all
went
that
and looked down there. There's like 9 or 10 stumps down there.
That's what I
The
mean.
post office, go actually walk around the post office and just take a look at that. Like, it's just overgrowth. And the lady said she's gonna talk to the state or the feds or whatever to see where they can freaking, come up with money, because I don't know, it's ugly in our town.
So this is all Centennial Park,
That's the old one.
the one right here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that answers your,
Yeah, so I'm gonna say if he was gonna do any of those trees down there for less than 500 a piece, he's nuts. But
do you have a start date? Or a completion date or?
No.
well, did you call for a motion?
I did.
It'd be within
So moved.
4 or 5 days. I have 2 jobs going right now. And does anybody have any nephews or kids that want to work? I'm serious. I'm working by myself.
How much per hour?
You drive a Corvette, dude. I can't afford you.
We've got a motion and a second to approve $3,740 as stated, Mom's Tree Care for stump removal, east side overgrowth, and trim park trees. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Note that is unanimous ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Heisler, how do we actually get rid of those? I mean, if they're all over town in the trees, how do we actually get rid of them?
Talk to Brian.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
For the town, because.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
You actually have to spray it with something for some.
Yeah, there's a pesticide, it's not very expensive. You find the tree that has them, spray around the base, and tune your sprayer up and just kind of mop it on there. Or there's another deal where you drill a hole in the tree and you stick it's like a injector. You stick it in there and it just slowly feeds the pesticide into the tree. And some of the trees can be saved, but I showed Bo today, like, it looked good, did it not? What was inside? Just a rotted.
Yeah, just tunnels, and he was showing me where they just eat their way right on through. It was really amazing what was inside that tree. And I'm glad that he took it down, because a lot of them branches that were hanging off over the road, they were eating out, just playing through the center of that thing. So that, if the branch is this big, they're going through the whole center of it like that, just leaving the outskirts. So that's why there's so many of them are blowing down when we get those winds.
I cut 5 of them down for Sean, maybe it was 6 for Sean Walker last summer. Every one of them had that same issue.
We walked across the street and there were all the trees out of it.
Yeah, those ones that you're showing that were on the
I
town
showed
side.
Ron, Buddy.
Yeah, that whole row of trees right there, it's all on town side, and they all got it.
We ready to move on? Mayoral appointments, I believe in all the discussion and stuff, I forgot to bring the vote. Did not bring the vote. Mayoral, in fact, I erred. We need to bring mayoral appointments to a vote for approval.
I would move
Pardon?
I would move that we approve them. There's people on committees waiting to get going. Pardon?
We can't hear you.
Oh, I said I would move that we approve
1 second.
mayoral appointments. I can't say that word.
It's been
Yeah,
moved and
that's the
second
thing.
that we approve the mayoral appointments. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion passed unanimous. Job descriptions. We talked job description, that's another thing we did not officially approve.
Pass them out, or
Has everybody had a chance to review these, or?
I think I passed them out at the workshop, but I don't know if you took a copy.
Sometimes, because I have them.
See, I thought they were just rough drafts.
Oh, they were.
I might have gotten one from you the other day.
Councilman Aiken, he had some suggestions to fix.
Yeah, these two go together.
These two are the same.
Okay.
Page 2 of mine.
Put a date on this. So that way I don't get confused between.
What version?
Yes.
Well, it's gonna be. Makes sense. Because you have to get updated next year too.
Yeah.
Killing off those discharge the ones that are valid. So with the reason.
You're right. 2.1, 2.2.
Yeah, but somebody differentiate which one's which.
Yeah, I don't know if I walked past one or not.
Oh, yeah.
There's an extra
Yeah.
paper. Yeah.
Oh, what am I doing? I should have kept that one past the rest. Pass the meeting.
I'm actually good with them as long as the department heads are good with them. I guess I can have some.
Need any more?
How do you see these? I was looking for them in the packet. I was looking for them in the packet.
I thought I was seeing all these too. Okay. I was trying to be more
I
productive.
sat down with Chris and made the changes I wanted, and we're all good to go. You heard me say that, didn't you?
I did. But I think Councilman Zen had a good idea to put the date on there with the version in case they change a year or 2 years. That way, we're not mistakenly giving or using an outdated version.
Sure.
So. I'll add that.
You go from version none to version one, back to version none, and not even know it.
Yeah.
I guess now I have them in my book.
Find the moonshine or something? Find the moonshine or something?
Talking about trees without me.
Must have.
Plan, Rich? Have what?
Out of control.
I might.
I didn't get one of those.
This is probably board administration.
Did you get a sergeant?
No.
So I have patrol officer, not sergeant.
I don't either.
Did you get Bob get one?
No. I didn't either, that's what I was asking.
No, I don't have it, but I've already read it.
Thinking about it. I wore thermals all day today, so I thought it would be hot here tonight. That door's open.
Yeah. Okay, what?
Thank you. I didn't have time to change after school. It's for the military science program. I like it.
There's not one over there.
Say this is literally.
At first there wasn't a whole lot, but after they've seen us in the uniform and all that, like 10 kids in 3 days tried to join, but they were only 3 years, so.
That's only half. More.
We don't have to make a profit for the sake of 10 to 40% less to the just to make it critical.
It's not facing just this. There's 6 months over there. You do it.
I swear, we've seen
So that's what.
That's all I
This doesn't show.
I thought I had to trade up.
Stand for a minute.
Yeah.
I remember reading it because I was embarrassed to ask you that. You know, I can remember that.
As far as, I can get it, even sit out there, and not just. Who's interested, Mike?
Yeah, because we have, so them.
I thought I did. I swear I seen it.
Because that would let someone like.
I should have mentioned
Or if you want to. Does it come with requirements of development on that? Just let it be.
It's your land. Right?
Well, I would think so.
I'm going to just up on it. Yeah. Full of crash cards. I'm a collector. Right. We store them. You know, I know.
That's what comes back.
What you wake me up for? I was actually thinking.
Committee, you see that?
Has
Oh, I answered myself too.
Oh, okay. Good.
Told her. Yeah. But they won't bring taxes on cigarettes or alcohol. What is the raise cigarettes? 3 cents a year for the next 3 years.
See, the opposite, I live in the same property as myself, I can't. Some of the names, there's the economic development in this town, but I need help. 20,000, this is what the council said. Oh, absolutely. So you can't change your market. Thank you. Well, it's a lot of paper, so I don't know where you draw the line.
That's why it's a good question.
However, it's the
Yes, it is. It's in the description.
That's why it's shaped into 3 different departments.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks for introducing me to Mom.
Hey, Brian, I got the same treatment.
Do I?
We don't talk about you.
Do we have any thoughts on what's been presented on job descriptions? Want me to start with one department and move the other?
I mean, to go department by department?
Yeah.
I thought we took care of this already.
Executive, I mean, if you had any other questions, I guess.
Because I'd heard Ron say you'd already made the modifications to what we had talked about.
Yes. I think we have, yeah.
I would suggest we just approve the bundle.
You know, as long
Can I
as.
have a motion, please, to approve the?
Sure, I'll make that motion that we accept the job descriptions as presented.
Yes. Been moved and seconded that we accept the job descriptions as presented by the town clerk. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion passed unanimously.
Everybody still has a job.
Retention of the town attorney. I did the investigation as promised. The majority of the attorneys I talked to said that the floor, anyone on the governing body can make the motion to remove the town attorney as in our ordinance. The town attorney can be removed at any time for any reason, no reason at all.
I would like to amend my motion to read the following, please. Is it possible? Where I want to read it correctly. A moment, please. I gotta find it. I'd like to amend my motion to dismiss the town attorney with these words out of the ordinance book. Town attorney may serve without a specific term, may be discharged at any time without cause by a majority vote of all members elected to the governing body.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we remove the town attorney for, what's the exact reading in that? Make sure.
The town attorney serves without a specific term, may be discharged at any time without cause by a majority vote of all the members elected to the governing body.
It's been moved and seconded, as just read by Councilman Zent. Open it up for discussion.
Would like to say something?
Go ahead, Councilman Weaver.
A lot of people don't know Perry. People have heard me say what I think of him. Obviously, I think he's great for the town. He has to charge the town beings, you know, with all the discussions that I've had. I don't know about with other council people. Most people don't know him because his face isn't present around the town. He's just in here doing the scenes, comes in, talks in a while. Every once in a while, with the street signs and stuff like that, you know, people see him working on his houses. But for me to get 100 signatures of support for our town attorney, who people don't know, but they know our town's going the right way, to me says a whole lot. That's 100 signatures for an attorney. I mean, I never thought I'd defend attorneys, but I defended him. He's a great guy. I like him. And I think the town's missing out if we get rid of him. And I hope the town's outspoken about it if they get rid of him. Because I think it's a bad move and it hurts our town.
So if he's doing a good job, what's the reason for getting rid of him?
I don't have one.
But by our ordinance, reason is not needed by our ordinance.
It's not needed, but what if the town's asking?
Yeah, why? Why?
What's your reasoning, Bob?
Conflict of interest.
I read it, the town ordinance, and at this time I was advised just to say that, and that's where I'll stop.
Well, I hope the town has a lot to say about it.
Jody, would you like that?
I think part of that is we all know that they can't discuss certain things that they discuss in an executive session. There are probably some things that we don't know that's going on, and I don't think none of them would really like to go to jail or go get into a court battle because that's.
I haven't heard a good reason, Jody.
I'm just saying that there is a possibility that there's in executive session that is not privileged to the public. And I don't think any of those guys can really say.
Roger, if you speak, can you come up? I can't hear you if you want to speak. Can you, if you're going to, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Could you read that again, please, Bob?
This is town ordinance, chapter 2, administration. Section 4, department heads. B, last line of section B, it reads, the town attorney serves without a specific term and may be discharged without cause by a majority vote of all the members elected to the governing body.
But it doesn't say anything in there why you can't give us a reason, correct?
And I answered that already.
I think the town deserves a reason why.
That's
Don't just remove somebody for no reason.
Yeah.
Makes it seem like a conflict of interest.
And Bo has 100 signatures there. I think people want to know.
I would like to clear up, I was asked to research if Councilman Zen had a conflict of interest in this subject. I've been advised he does not. That would not represent by state statute a conflict of interest. Like I said, I was asked to research that question we received from the audience, and I did seek outside counsel, and I was advised that does not that is not a conflict of interest by any of the state statutes that would be applicable to this situation. So
basically he can vote how he wants.
he's allowed to vote how he wants, and he is also legal for him to bring the motion. I've researched, there again, I want to follow the law.
So we've done so well tonight, coming a long ways, getting some things passed today, just so this can go boom, not press home.
If somebody's doing a good job and saving the town money, you don't remove them.
Well, I can address that, but it won't probably answer your question. There's a local government liability pool that kind of does the liability insurance for all of us. And it's their attorney's recommendation, just their recommendation across the board, that if you let somebody go, don't give them a reason. Yeah, no, I can tell you that's part of it.
That means nothing to
Yeah.
the town.
Why would you try
Well-
and remove him if he's already outside of being the attorney, buying houses and remodeling them to sell them to help improve town?
Could you come please speak? Appreciate it. Hear you a little better. I can hear you, but other people may wanna, that are listening in, I don't know how many people got watching.
So on top of the town supporting with how he's helping save money for the town, why would we want to get rid of him when outside of that work, he's also buying houses, fixing them up to improve Shoshoni on its own as well?
I just wish I could hear a good reason besides I just don't like the guy.
It's,
That's all I get.
We don't even get that.
No, we get nothing.
I also have a problem with the fact that Bo sat in on the same executive meeting sessions as Bob. Bo has no problem, but Bob does. Does that put any questions in anybody else's minds? Like Bo's speaking on his behalf, Bob is not.
But there again,
Without bringing executive meetings into
there
the
again,
thing,
did everybody come to the
This should go to
microphone?
executive session.
Yeah, that's okay.
Mayor,
Yes, please.
Can this go to executive session?
You know, it's funny. I worked for the state many, many years. The state has what they call a work program. If you do something wrong, there's a file that goes in your file, and they do all this. In Wyoming, it's called the Works Right State. I've been in this situation where they have terminated me legally. If they give you a reason, they are setting themselves up for liability to go back, because you could say, well, that's slander, or that is not interpreted the way I looked at it. And I'm not trying to defend any of this. I just know that I've been in that situation. That's why you can't call no more to get a recommendation. If you call to get a recommendation, most generally they will not give you, they will say, they can only ask a couple questions. Would you hire me back? Yes or no. That's about all they can ask. And I've learned that through several job interviews in several jobs I've gone, and they say, we're not doing it.
Jody, let me clear up one thing.
Sure.
Just, he's not an employee of the town, falls under different. He can be, by our ordinance, he can be removed at any time for no reason.
for no reason, that's what I'm getting
So
at.
you're talking employee law and stuff.
But still,
This is not
but
employee.
he's
He's not an
doing-
employee.
is
He's
he,
not an employee.
he's not an employee
He's
for
not
the
an
town.
employee, and this doesn't apply.
Okay,
Okay.
that's my
thank you.
mistake, but I was thinking that he was an employee
He's not
if
an
you hired.
employee.
But even if he was, wouldn't you think the other bosses would know what he did wrong? Even though we kept it to ourselves, we should know. But I have not heard anything.
Well, I
anything
agree.
being wrong.
I agree with you 100%, but in that realm, they don't have to give you a cause, they can just let you go. And that is their right.
He's not an employee. He provides professional services, and then that can be terminated at any time.
And to me, it just seems like you're not doing. the work.
Anybody else I'm gonna cut this short here in a minute. Anybody else feels they need to say something? I'm gonna say something when everybody else is done. If you want to speak, please step to the microphone.
Be shy if you want to speak.
I got something to say. Okay, we've got 100 signatures to keep this man's job. I understand that you all were voted in to represent what the people want. And if that's what the people have said, then isn't it kind of what we put you in office for?
I just hope y'all remember.
Anybody else has anything to say before I say anything? I'd like to address this. I've dealt pretty closely. The mayor deals more closely with the attorney than anybody else should be, or should, because the day-to-day business, I have to consult the mayor or the county attorney on multiple issues that come up. And we go over things. We try to do everything right. I'm personally conscious of trying to do things right. I've made a few mistakes, obviously, but not intentionally. And I sound, if I have a doubt, I will consult the town attorney and make sure we're trying to go the right direction. I can tell you that I feel Perry Marble is honest, hardworking, ethical, and has done a very good job for our town. He does a lot of work. He does not charge us for at all. His rates is very reasonable, and from what I've seen, he's done an excellent job. I have not been provided by anybody any reason that we remove Perry Marple from his position. I've asked for it from multiple people to give me a reason, a legitimate reason, even though we don't need one. But I asked for a reason because we have someone doing a good job. Why, I want a reason why we need to remove him. And because he's a very important part. I think we have a team that we've been moving this town forward. And I'm gonna, like a table, we have legs of the table. The group that we've been working together, be honest, is Bo Weaver, Chris Kojai, Perry Marple, and myself. We've been moving the town forward. We shared with Bo, and I decided to run. He decided to run for council, and I decided to run for mayor. He tried to talk me to run for mayor, and I said, well, if you'll run for council. And anyway, part of our vision that we want to improve the town, not to enrich ourselves, but we enrich ourselves by the town being better. But, part of it was the school admin building. Was we seen that, try to develop this into a commercial property. The land we just purchased, we looked at that and we didn't know how we were going to do it, but we thought that was a great place for expansion and housing. The mushroom farm got sold to some good people that are doing things with it, and we're able to get into that. And for 95.5 grant, we can maybe develop that land. And without that, we wouldn't be able to do that and bring more homes. We talked about senior housing. We thought we need more senior housing. We discussed those things. Medical clinic, because of COVID, we got this in at least a year ahead of time because we was able to get it paid for. But we were looking at grants and other things to try to bring a medical clinic because that was part of our plan. I know I haven't made everybody happy in town, and I got definitely plenty of people that don't like me, but please look at the good we're doing and just that you don't like the mayor. Look for the betterment of the town. If anybody comes with a good idea, Jordan Whitener is one, basketball court. We expanded that quite a bit more than what he asked for, but it was a good idea. And the rest of the governing body jumped aboard, and we did that. And look at the use. It's far more successful than I thought it might be. There's guys playing basketball all the time, even now in the cold. That was an excellent thing. The medical clinic usage is getting up. Those are good things. But as part of our, if we want to try to keep the town moving forward, Perry Marple is doing positive things. We're working together, and Bob came to the idea that we need lights. I agree. We need lights. We're working on the lights. Chris has been talking with Bruce at the school. We're looking at ways how we can put lights California and Pine Street. That's a good thing. Come with a good idea. I don't care who has the idea. People from the community bring things to us. More people involved. That's what Bo, we've been calling. We get people involved. The great thing with this camera, we seem to have more people watching and paying attention and getting involved. So we've had some squabbles and here at council, but one thing, make a good thing out of a bad thing. It's got people's interest in our town. And we keep moving forward. Prairie Marple is an important part of that. He's got property he's trying to upgrade it. He has some true concern for the betterment of the town of Shoshoni. His motives are pure. Yes, he likes Shoshoni. He's working towards that. I want to keep him. Like I said, I've done everything I can to keep him, but there again, we follow rule of law. And so I'm going to get off my stump. But I just, that's where I am at. And
if the town don't grow, there's no future in this town for this kid.
We have kids showing up now.
Yeah.
And they're online watching, finally. The young people are even like, what's going on?
And these kids, they're not gonna be here, nobody's gonna be here. They don't have a future here.
And people are watching what we're doing, guys. I guarantee it.
we got a team, and we can all be part of the team, all of us.
Absolutely.
And move the town forward. That's what we need to do. We can have our discussions, our differences of opinion, and work it out and just try to move the town forward. And it's not a bad thing to have disagreements. That's a good thing. We can air things out. We can talk it out, and maybe someone comes up with better ideas. And
But
that's
it's better, you know, if you guys are having your hash it out deal, don't do it for other kids, or, you know.
Yeah.
If you guys hash it out or boxing gloves, you know, then these kids don't see that, and they don't,
sure,
you know.
Well, I can tell you one thing, some of the kids I've been talking to, they're paying attention to it because they're getting pissed off too. Because they've had enough. They see the things changing in town and the people trying to stop it.
I think I'm talking about all these kids.
Yes.
All these
And
kids.
ones that are online, ones that are off to college too.
Yep.
I mean, even Kathy and Bob, I mean, all these kids.
Yeah.
But why would we get rid of an attorney that we're not really paying for one that would have to retain later?
That will
What's
cost
that
the
gonna cost
town
us?
more money.
When this man hasn't done anything wrong.
Well,
It doesn't seem that
That-
council really cares.
Yeah, I have my opinion, and Councilman Zen has his. So,
Mike, did you want to go into executive session?
Can we?
Well, I can answer your question. What I feel and what I have to say about it, I'm not going to air that dirty laundry or drag anybody through the mud. But I'll go back there and I'll talk about it with you.
if the council thinks we need to go into executive session, all I just need is a motion.
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
Can I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
And the cause for the executive session is?
Can we call it personnel?
Is that an employee?
Not an employee.
The motion's already on the floor.
But he's not an employee.
We have to state a reason.
For the good of the town?
We have very limited reasons we can go into executive session. We got a potential lawsuit. Perry's not a town employee. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's my
I thought he
interpretation.
is. I thought he was a contract employee.
He provides professional services on a fee schedule. You know, we don't fill out a W-2 form or anything.
Can I say one thing?
Please.
Just so people know, the reason Perry's not here defending himself, if you don't already know, he's an attorney for the town, and this is going against him, so he can't come in here and defend himself when he works for the town, be a conflict of interest. He's not in here because, oh gosh, I don't want to go in there and get everybody, mad at me or I think I'm not there because I'm scared to come in. He's confident of what he has done for the town, but he can't come in here and defend himself.
It's,
I wish he could.
there have been some discussion whether he's a department head or not, that may be up for discussion. He's not paid salary or anything. I don't know. Why, maybe a white umbrella, do you feel that falls under if you feel that it falls under employee, I'll entertain that. If you think that falls under if that falls under an employee, I just want to try to make sure.
Well, I think
If you're comfortable with that, or
I don't know. if
everybody
everybody
comfortable
else
with that?
is.
No. Can we just have a vote right now and get it over with?
Okay. Like I said, I just want to try to do things right. That was my question. There's nothing wrong about going, I just want to make sure one question later.
What about the motion for executive session? We're gonna withdraw.
Did we,
You didn't find it.
we had a motion and we had a second.
Yes, for executive session.
So we need to vote on that motion.
We need to vote on the executive session.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're very welcome.
All in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Because it doesn't qualify, correct?
I doubt if it does, it might. If you take a wide interpretation of employee, I'm
Gotcha.
reaching on that.
Sure.
Trying to, okay. Opposed or all in favor of not? Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Motion failed. See, now can I have a motion to remove, we'd already had a motion to remove this.
Moved in second.
Moved in second to remove the town clerk. We had quite a bit of discussion.
Whoa.
No, oh, turn it down. Oh, I'm getting it. Whoa.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, excuse me. The town attorney.
Can we
Moved
table?
second. Discussion.
I don't know that we can table it. unless-
See, okay, the motion is retention of the town attorney. All in favor of keeping Perry Marple as the town attorney, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I only have one opposed,
Aye.
two opposed, and Mike's
Well, see,
declared he has a
Mike
conflict
wants
of
to put it
interest.
off. That's what he wants to do.
Here's a conflict of interest. You already admitted that.
No, he doesn't.
I got it right here. During the last meeting. I heard listened to it a whole bunch of times. He went up and spoke as an employee of Hopper Metals on when we were discussing Perry, and then I said, isn't that a conflict of interest? And he said, yes.
He was speaking as Hopper Metals.
You can't do that. That's a conflict of interest. And yes, we can talk to an attorney on that. That's what's needed. But that's a conflict of interest. And I know I'm not the only person that heard that.
Mike, do you feel you have a conflict of interest?
With the town attorney?
Yes.
No. He's not, if we're talking about Hopper Metals, we've never used him for legal work. I don't know I'm not sure what the connection would be on that person.
I guess I'm confused. Was anything, you did say there was a conflict of interest. I never knew what the conflict of interest was.
It was regarding my position with the conversation was regarding trash service.
It was talking about Perry. It was on Perry's discussion. And then you went up to Hopper Metals saying, well, this guy can be a good guy, but I can't, da-da-da-da-da. And you
So my recollection from the conversation was in regards to the matter at hand. Like I said, I don't have any dealings with Perry Marple.
And you stayed out of the whole discussion on Perry Martin. Is that exactly what you said? I got it right here. I play it.
No, so that's staying out of the discussion of the garbage service.
Answering your question, we have tried for years and years to provide garbage service directly for the town of Shoshoni, not the citizens, but the town specifically, what Mindy had proposed the last meeting. Years and years we've tried to push this town forward, to push a small business forward into this town. So That being said,
That was what you said. I mean, it's all minutes. People can listen to it anytime they want. Why am I a bad guy for playing that?
I just told I can't go back there and tell you the reasons.
I did nothing wrong. Those are public.
What, are you concerned what you would tell us might bring a lawsuit against the town of Shoshoni? That's a question.
It might.
If we have
Oh, I see
potential
what you're saying.
lawsuit, that is something that can be discussed in executive session.
How come we can remove Perry for doing a good job for no reason, but we can't remove Bob for what he did to us?
Mike, you're either gonna have to vote or abstain and it'll die and it'll come back.
I was not gonna die because if he votes on it, we're gonna research it.
But okay, our ordinance says at any time. So that doesn't mean you can, new business, town hall remodel. It's getting to where our vision, those that don't know, we purchased the administration building to move town hall there.
You speak up there too loud back there.
Anybody that doesn't know, we purchased the admin building to move town hall there. Our intentions are to move the police department, the court, the library all into one building into town hall. We're looking at that right now. We are going to need to move forward on that. We're working on getting an estimate on what it's going to cost to do that. We're looking at different options, but we need to start moving forward on that. I would. We've been looking at finances, how to pay for it. We'll have a little better idea when it costs. We're looking at some potential grants. We have some cash put away to do it if needed. We could even be eligible for some 1% loans. I mean, we have multiple funding sources to do this, but we're hopefully when we tie all the buildings in, all the departments into one, hopefully we save some utility bills. I think it'll be everything's going to be on one floor. Everything will be rebuilt to handicap. We're not going to be all legal on compliance on handicap and everything. It's going to be a good move. We will also open up this property here that hopefully we will market and sell to bring a business in. I personally would love to see a restaurant in here. That could be one possibility. That's something we really need. I believe we may have some interest in possibly putting a restaurant here. And so that'd be one of the things we would be working towards. Just try to, any rumors are out there, that's our intention.
How do you suggest we go about that? I mean, we need to do a walkthrough and everything, but I don't want, if we have a quorum over there, somebody might, or maybe you have a special meeting in the future, have you guys kick around how you want to do that? Because I'm all for getting over there.
Yeah, we're gonna look at a design. We're gonna present what we're gonna need to do is once we get this put together, we're gonna have to advertise for bid.
Sure.
And then we'll go through the whole bidding process and everything. We got a sort of a plan layout, and I'll invite everybody to, once I get everything, we'll invite everybody to look at the layout and ask for input on what we're going to do. So we'll get everybody involved. I just wanted to get it out and
Sure.
out with everybody on what we're doing there.
You and Chris are working on that? and
Yeah, we're
kicking-
working on that.
I'm with
Once we
you.
get some numbers, we're looking, there's some grants that will help pay part of it, because Homeland Security grants, because we got a court and a police department. It's gonna require special stuff.
Yes, Will.
But I just wanted to get that out. But I'd like the blessing of the council for me to move forward on this. Make sure I'm not wasting time, and, you know, I wanna vote to give me the authorization to continue on to work on this. I've done some initial planning, but I want to make sure we
Well, you're not
that
really
I'm
looking
not
for a
spinning, I'm not
motion.
spinning my tires.
You want to make sure everybody's on board.
Yeah,
I
I want
am.
to make sure I'm not spinning my tires on
Yeah.
this.
What property does the town, for clarity, own up there? Is it the parking lot and the
We own 6 lots.
going which?
We got 2 deep, 3 east and west, 2 north and south. We got between 3rd and 4th Street, and we got 3, and westerly we go 3 blocks. So it goes a little past the parking lot. And anytime you got some time this week, I still want to get together, we can walk, go through the building. I'd be happy to go over all of that with you. Any questions, Mike? And we can lay it out. We haven't had it surveyed or anything yet, but I can get approximately where it's at. And if you got some input, you know, we got a fair amount of extra land there. We kicked around possibly of moving the library there. You know, there was all sorts of things, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think it's better to have everything in one building. And we looked at options. I think it's best to put in everything into one building. And whenever you'd like to come, just be happy to go through and kick things around. Guess we got to be careful. We get more than
Well, that's
three
what I
of us
was gonna
together.
say. That's
or
what
we
I
got
was
a
saying. I'd
dark
go with
forum. We
you.
got to watch
Yeah.
what we say. You what I'm saying? But if you want to come look, get a hold of me, we'll happily go look at.
Could we do like a special meeting over
Yep.
there and just for looking at the new possibility of the council hall being over there?
Yeah, glad I thought that, but we'd have to sort it around because we do it.
Mr. Ronnie can't.
If we do a special meeting, of course, the public's all invited, and we'd have to make arrangements to do that.
Well, when you gather some more information, we'll do that. You suppose?
You know,
Yeah.
but so I guess can I have a motion to approve me to move forward on this and make sure I'm not, or we need that, or we just go ahead and
Well, I'll
we
make the
just go do
motion.
it?
If you want a motion, yeah, I'll move.
I'll second.
Yeah, yeah. Vote of confidence. if
Yeah,
you
we're
will.
not, you're not telling me that, you're not giving me any, I'm not spending any money or not much, or we're just moving forward on our plan.
You bet.
So move in second, give the mayor the authority to work on, developing the old school admin building to the new Shoshoni Town Hall. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just the people that, that might be on the fence on it, just visualize with what we're doing with the town, with the new RV park. So now when you're coming in from Thermont, you're gonna come into town, you're gonna see the school off to the side, you're gonna see this new nice RV park. Then you're gonna see our new town hall there, all decorated and all looking nice. Then we got the new travel plaza sitting right here. When you're coming in from that side of town, you're gonna see it going out of town, but you're gonna see the new medical clinic, the new park plaza. I mean, it's just, the town's coming around.
You won't have the old Shoshoni Motel going west.
I mean, it's just the town's moving forward, and it's just, these are big steps.
Well, just from the basis of the condition of this building and what's going on downstairs, and we all know there's mold mitigation going to happen down there. You can smell it. It actually, I'm probably about as conservative with dimes as, squeeze the nickel till the buffalo does something. It actually makes sense to go over there. It's not something we're doing that's spendthrift. That makes some sense. It did with the previous administration and the one, yeah. To me, it makes sense. And anybody that would like to educate me otherwise, feel free. phone's always available, so. Well, not all of you. You don't get to educate me back there in the back.
Okay, did we vote on that? We didn't?
No,
We didn't. Okay, that was discussion. No more discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Guess we didn't need any discussion.
Okay, town properties. I would like to propose that we put on the market the old B&B motel property and the Nunez property, the shop behind it. There's 6 commercial lots there with a shop. I personally don't have a strong opinion which will be the best way to do that. One would be sealed bid, one would be an auction. We could list it with a realtor. We probably ought to get a market analysis, maybe where we know we could list it. If we list it by auction or sealed bid, I would suggest we put a reserve price that we decide upon. Talking, maybe we get advice from a realtor, what's, fair. We advertise it. Maybe we may even get someone interested in that's commercial lots that might want to put a business in. And I'd really like to negotiate anybody wanting to put a business in, personally myself.
Would that land be sold as 1 unit or 2 because you have Nunez's shop, which is off the highway?
I would, yeah.
The other part.
Good question.
So I need that clarified.
Yeah, myself, I want advice from a realtor, how to sell it. Do we put it in 1? We put it in 2 parcels. I sold some property once. We sold it, tried it in 2 parcels, 2 10-acre parcels, and then we put it together on auction. Put it to 20 acres, and the 20 acres got more money than the 2 parcels did. So, when that was a stipulation at the auction, whichever brought the most money. So we sold partial A, and we sold partial B, and then we sold that's an entirety. And the people knew when A and B, if the total amount was greater, then that's who got the property. Had an attorney set that up. I wasn't that smart.
Sorry.
Anyway, that's what we did. And I don't know. I don't know the best way to sell that property, to be honest with you. I'm open to see them, but I just thought I talk to a realtor that's their business that could advise us.
If you're open for discussion, I have an opinion.
Well, I'm open to it. Please do.
As we all know, state law is pretty picky about selling
correct
public property.
Correct.
And as long as those state ordinances are followed, so that nothing comes around to bite us in the future.
Guaranteed we would do that.
I would just assume that you and a realtor and Chris and whomever just go deal with that. That's my opinion.
Okay. I will, but any sale has to be approved by council.
Right.
I can go negotiate.
That's what I mean.
And I'll do that and bring it to you. But if you got ideas, I'm open for them. Like I said, that's my intention, is getting to a realtor and see what he thinks the best bang for the buck for Shoshoni would be.
I agree with you. Somebody that knows how to
correct.
Take a look at that, because I don't.
And that opens up more commercial property for investors.
Well, I'd love to see someone start, maybe someone start a decent mechanic shop there. I don't know, used car lot. I ain't gonna say what I always joke about, but I won't.
Can there be something in the provision of the sale that they have X amount of time to do something with it? So our town continues moving forward, and just somebody doesn't just buy the chunk of land and it just sit there and be a vacant lot like it is?
I don't know. It's a restricted title, is that correct, Chris?
Or like the town regains,
regains
ownership if.
I'd have to check and see what the legalities is. They were just.
I just don't want to see the town be in the same situation they are with other buildings, and that building keep deteriorating, and then it just be an overgrown weed lot. Obviously, we'd want to see
something take forth that's gonna
That's a good
help,
question.
help it
That's a good
grow.
question.
My understanding you can, but I sat in on via Zoom this morning talking about titles and doing that, and I believe we still can. There was talking about a bill down at the House as the Senate went to the Ag Committee that might remove that ability of a municipality to be able to do that. But to my knowledge, we can.
Okay, yeah, I just don't, not that I don't want to see the town sell it. I just don't want to see
Right.
somebody.
No,
do
I agree.
Same thing that's already, we
Agreed.
obviously want it to improve. We don't want it just to sit there and be vacant lot.
Thanks for bringing that up. We don't want to have a step backwards.
No.
End up with a worse eyesore than the ones we just bought.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's the idea for it to move forward.
Maybe it just offended
You bet.
somebody.
And if it's for economic development, we can sure take that into consideration when we sell. You know, we can take that in, if it's for economic development, we have a lot more latitude when we sell a property if it's for economic development by state statute.
I forgot where we're at.
I'll proceed on that then. I'll proceed on that. We need a motion for that, or do I just need to do it?
I move we direct the mayor to contact, get appraisal of the old B&B motel and the Nunez property for possible sale.
An appraisal or a market analysis?
Yeah.
I believe
There's a
all
difference.
required by law is a market analysis. I believe. I know for economic development is, I'll make 100% sure, but I believe a market analysis is allowable by law. If it isn't, will be an appraisal.
Market analysis typically free, appraisal.
Yeah, or a market analysis depends if you list with a realtor or not, it can cost, but a lot less than appraisal. And a commercial appraisal costs quite a bit more.
That's, yeah.
So. Anyway, the motion was for me to move forward, talk to a realtor and try to get a valuation of the property and research what he feels the best way to market it and sell it.
Can we,
For the best interest of the town.
can I ask for an amendment to that?
Please.
now?
Sure.
Just change the wording there to a market analysis or appraisal as required by law.
Yes.
And then you.
It is done.
Yep. That's what I said. But yeah, you bet. I like it. I second. Been moved and seconded that the mayor moves forward for market analysis or appraisal, whichever is legal. Figure out the best valuation of the property and the best way to market it. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Town cleanup. Do we got any ideas how we want to handle that this year?
I'd like to have Buddy address that. He talked about some ideas earlier, 2 years ago. He was here for a while.
I think he would.
Okay, well, first of all, are we gonna have it? And if so, when?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
The other part is, it was discussed, what we should not, but he said no hazardous materials earlier.
Oh.
Look at, no tires. So you're on the microphone, bud.
Yeah, you're up and didn't even know it.
Oh. You can take your coffee.
Town cleanup, in case you're curious what you did wrong.
Whoa, what did I did wrong?
So
We're wondering about town cleanup,
So,
is what we should
we're
or
talking
shouldn't
about,
do.
you mentioned, no tires, no hazardous materials. How do you want to run this? Do we want to have it even? What's your thoughts?
You know, and I'll be honest, my biggest opinion on that was there was a lot of places that they collected their stuff for a year, at least. We'd have town cleanup. They got rid of their stuff. My feelings is they did that so they didn't have to pay the prices for the dump fee, which I feel was wrong, you know. Then the town is spending that much money. I mean, I think we had to, well, we filled both dumpsters last time. Then we had to start offloading in the yard. They would have to come pick it up, go dump it, bring them back. And it was, I forget what the price was. It was pricey, you know. I'm not saying that we don't need to beautify the town, but people's got to take responsibility for their own stuff sometimes, you know. And I understand, you know, there was some people that were good about it. You know, a few things here and there, but there was places that, I mean, piles. All year long, I'd see it sitting out by the street, waiting for cleanup days for us to come pick their trash up. And it's like, that's abusing it. So, you know, that was kind of my opinion on it. I mean, a lot of it, we still got, gosh, we got a bunch of tires, paint, electrical, appliances, still sitting in the yard, you know, and we're sitting here telling the community they got to clean up their property. And I'm sure everybody's seen the city yard, you know, and it looks like trash in there, you know.
Didn't we spend far over $2,000 and we?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And there was still
far
the
over
whole
that.
way, and then I don't know how many loads after
Like I
that.
say, we still got a bunch of tires, pallets of paint, old paint, you know, so, and still got some different things, bicycles, you know, odds and ends that we did pick up at cleanup that's still sitting in the yard, you know. So it's, like I said, you know, there's people that abused it, you know. I mean, you almost got to put a stipulation on it, you know. I mean, you can't take city dump truck, one resident and load the whole dump truck full. I mean, that's getting a little carried away, you know.
I think I remember, you know, 10, 11 years ago, Pat, you may correct me too, I have to remember that better, buddy. But I thought about then it was more helping people that needed help.
Correct. When it first started, yes, and that's what it was.
And I think
The elderly, the
yeah.
handicapped, someone, you know, that was sick, you know, and I fully agree with that.
Yeah, I kind of do too. And then, you know, maybe the rest, well, I don't know. The rest of the people, see, I might be old and handicapped, so I might fit in that. No, not real. Anyway, but the rest of us should clean it up ourselves. I admit it is harder since we don't have a, you know, landfill we can haul to like we used to. You know, like years ago, people did that, but I'm thinking the people that really need it, we should try to help.
Right.
And not,
And you're
dump
right.
truck
I think Pat was on the council when we first started that, wasn't he, Pat?
Yeah, can I say something?
Please do,
Yes.
Pat, please do.
He's right, I was on the council and pretty damn proud of what we did that first weekend that we started it. We had 11 BTI dump trucks full of stuff that we hauled out. And then it kind of, people faded out, I should say, the volunteers. But anyway, the gentleman that was here a month or so ago from Salt Lake, he asked if we had any questions, and I said, or any likes we'd like to see done in our town. I said, yes, I'd like to see it cleaned up. He'd go on, asking that, yes, I'd like to see the town cleaned up. He didn't, kind of slow, I thought, but anyway. He did bring up a good point, was once you start this and you do it next year, then you got to do it the following year, and you got to do it the following year. And made a lot of sense, because that just means it's more money out of the town's pocket to go to the landfill. If people would kind of pitch in a few bucks to help pay for the landfill, it might be a better deal, but not when the town has to keep paying every year for the landfill.
For those that can, just do.
Well, they may. I don't know. I never
take
run
pride.
into that.
You know, years ago, when they had the town clean up 50 years ago, it was a cleanup week. And all the citizens were, you know, there was more pride in the community.
You're right.
More pride in the community, and everybody was sort of expected to clean up around your place, and most people did back then. I don't know. But yeah, we can't keep costing town that much money. Agreed. Jordan, please.
What about like a town incentive to get people to want to clean their stuff up rather than it being, junk and stuff? And so I guess you could do it in two ways, or my thought is two ways of, for those that are planting trees and planting grass and keeping their place maintained so it's appealing. What about, maybe like a 1 month free water bill? Granted, it's not immensely over the realms of their normal. So what I'm saying is they're not abusing it, or a discounted water bill, or if you want to participate in the town cleanup and you have items, a $10 fee or something to give somebody an incentive to want to make the effort to clean their place up, rather than just, it costs too much money to afford to water the grass, costs too much money to do this, so we'll just let it look like shit. You go, excuse my language, but we'll just let it look like crap and not have any pride in it. Instead, maybe a 1 month discount on your water bill for those that are planting grass and trees and doing something, rather than it just looking,
I like that. In bigger cities, they tell you to clean your place up. That's gonna give you 2 notices, and if you don't clean it up, then they charge you to clean it up. That's the way it is. The ones that-
But hopefully we don't get to that point.
They're all adults, I mean.
What do you say? We're a bunch of little kids
that
around
you
here?
shouldn't have to be given a sucker to clean your place up.
Well.
Myself,
Yeah.
if I have a nice lawn, I don't expect. somebody
Well, I
to
get
pay
that.
for it.
I get
So,
that, but
and
maybe
I
it'll.
understand it's
but-
wrong that you gotta give an incentive, you give somebody to clean their place up. That's where I feel it's wrong.
I don't
It's wrong,
disagree,
it's wrong.
but if we want to make the place better, if we give somebody incentive, then they'll actually, it's just like having little kids. You want them to behave, you have certain parameters. Of course, you can just whoop their butt, and then they're going to continue, or you can look at it the other, be an incentive on rewarding those that do.
An
So-
incentive would be Mac with the ticket, but.
we tried that when Peters was here, and that worked out how well. They were moving cars off. If you had more than one car that wasn't plated, they were writing tickets, and well, our town still looks like shit. It's improving, don't get me wrong, but maybe those that have been here, an incentive for those that make the effort. Why, I'm not saying you got to go above and beyond and put them on your payroll. I'm just saying small incentive, especially for those that have made the effort for, like these guys, their yard's nice for the last 30 years or
I like
longer.
the discussion you're doing. I mean, I guarantee that. Anything that'll help get these people, get some.
Light a match, get them to want to do something. I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Just another suggestion is just maybe recognize people, that do keep up their places.
Correct.
Yeah, like that, yes.
Yeah. Good idea.
Mike, are you gonna offer the same work that, like you did last year, to carry off appliances or something?
I don't know how to respond to the conversation. I don't want to represent a conflict of interest. I don't want to stand up and have someone come back and say you're a criminal. Am I fantastic at what we do? We do, but. So I guess I will answer your question after the meeting.
Absolutely. If there's a place to take it, you do the scrap, Mike, you know, if there's appliances and that, I'd volunteer to help. I got trailers and, you know, absolutely.
Go, please.
Jordan, I like your idea, incentives and stuff, and this could be apples and oranges, but this came up once before. In fact, I might even been the fire chief, so this has been a while, about incentives for people to be on an ambulance crew or the fire department to give them a break on their water bill or something. And we ran into a legal issue. I don't know that we could even give an incentive. It's something that Chris or Joel would have to look into. You remember that, Bud?
Yes.
Yeah, Pat's nodding. So I don't know if the town could even do that. But like I say, it could be apples and oranges, but you know.
Meters turned off on Sundays from 6 to 8.
There you go. The meter reader develops dyslexia.
That's true.
Well, shall we think about this and try to come up with something next meeting? Any input, other input from the audience, please, or drop suggestions off to town hall? See if we're gonna do something. I think when we were talking, when we approved the budget, we never approved the expenditures once that they were explained because we separated them out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve Can you read that off for me, Chris?
Amendment of fiscal year 21 budgeted expenditures.
I got up too early this morning. Okay, are we approving the resolution?
I don't have. No, we said, Councilman Zent wanted to
Yeah.
talk about the capital project, so we withheld this one and separated from the resolution.
That's why I move we approve amendment of fiscal year 2021 budget expenditures, capital projects for $35,000.
I'll second that.
Yeah, it's been moved in second that we approve capital projects for $35,000 for fiscal year 2021 budget expenditures. We've been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? None be, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passed unanimously.
Patty, it was, when we were doing the budget amendment, Councilman Zed motioned to keep the capital projects and talk about it later. And so we pulled that out and the council approved the resolution. And we were just going back after it was explained and answered this question that we were going back and approving that one item under capital projects. That's what was going on.
Move forward to department head clerk report.
Well, I modified it because I had a lot longer, but I think it's late. So already kind of went over the fiscal budget. Our current expenditures versus all sources of revenue for fiscal year 21 are anticipated to provide a final year end balance of $162,913 under revenues, of which $43,067 are expected as a result of the quarterly budgeting that we've employed that we just went through just now. And that is mainly from Q4, which we will not go back and do this again. So that will leave us from just that alone, $43,000 under budget, and expected to be $162,000 at the when all sources of revenue are factored in versus expenditures. And then I just want to touch on the upcoming budget for fiscal year 22, and I anticipate at least 2 budget workshops. First one, I would prefer to have sometime towards the end of April, when we have a little more clarity on some of the things the legislators down in state would probably be more appropriate to start this process, either before or after. We could have a workshop, preferably before the second meeting in April, but I'll let that work itself out with how council wants to handle that, but sometime towards the end of April. And then the second workshop would be a little bit more in depth before we go into the actual readings of the budget. And if we need a third workshop, we can have plenty of time to have that without having to crunch everything together like last year. That's all I had.
Yeah. Chris will have time to prepare it properly this time instead of just rushing in cold feet.
Worked out so far.
I kind of liked it. Short.
Any questions? Yeah, good job, Chris. Appreciate everything you're doing, putting that together. Anybody round table have anything they'd like to talk about? Okay, please.
Again, I want to thank all the people for showing up and being involved. People are communicating, they're getting out of their comfort zone and trying to get involved, and I encourage that. A lot of people don't like to say anything because they don't like to tell gossip, so on and so forth, but they're starting to speak up, and I really encourage you guys to keep doing it. I want to thank the kids that are now getting involved. To me, that's fantastic. And as always, if there's any questions or anything, cards are up there. You can find me on Facebook. Text me, call me, instant message. I don't care. I have to, I'll be out of town for a few weeks. I should have left sooner, but I wanted to be at this meeting. I've been in and out of the hospital and ambulance 3 times in the past week and a half. And, but I had responsibilities here that I felt I really need to take care of. She's not on my support or anything, but it's detrimental that I get down there. But while I'm there, I still want people to contact me. I mean, over anything with the town, because we've come so far and I wanted to keep going forward. So, you know, like I said, thanks for getting involved. I know it's a pain in the butt always coming down here, but I think we need to keep coming down just so we all can be held accountable, include myself. So, like I said, I just want to tell you guys thank you.
Anybody else? Ron, Bob, Mike, have anything you'd like to bring up in the round table?
Just that I hope Bo's mom gets better. That's.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, families first.
I'd like to talk a little bit about senior housing. You know, the land we purchased, the Herbst property, and going west, just north of that property crosses the fence, and it's right north of our senior housing. We own that property. I would like to start investigating. One thing, we've paid off 4 of the units. January, we paid off 4 of the units. So in next May, we'll have the other 8 paid for. Right now, we have a waiting list of 4 people. And in the past, I've heard that number's been more. I would like to move forward on that. Do we have sewer and water near there and develop at least 4 more units possibly this year on the land we already own, and some new senior housing. But I'd like to start moving forward there. Again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time if I don't have the council's blessing to do that. Because I've done some initial investigating with WCDA, and we're looking at some options on how to possibly move forward in that before I go spend any effort moving forward. That I want to make sure the council I have your blessing that we think that's a good idea, and before I go, because these grants and everything we're looking at just don't develop. It takes a lot of work. My work, Chris's work, and whoever else gets involved with it. But I'm thinking that might be a good thing initially. As my notes, I was considering the land west, expand that way, but the land was the landowner wants pretty good price for his land there. We already own this. I think that would possibly work good for an expansion. I think the town has a need for that. And I don't know exactly, we need a little more investigating on what's the best way to do that. But may involve a developer, and I've talked with them there, but we'll work on that. What they did 20 years ago was really good. They've been a real asset, and I think we could build on that.
So how much was the other property that you were looking at?
4,000 an acre.
4,000 an acre, and how many acres?
About 15.
So
Or 12 and a half.
So your cost would
It was about 50,000 for 12 and a half acres.
So basically, with the land that we purchased for the town for growth, we're saving the town another $50,000 by building it.
Yeah, if we'd have bought that, we bought 113, a little over 113 acres for 95,000, and for 12 and a half acres, the price was 50,000.
So we got basically, if we go this route, then the whole rest of the property cost is $45,000.
Correct, and we're developing sewer and water that way a little bit anyway. The big scheme of things, when we through economic development grant, where we bring everything in to develop the housing out towards the mushroom farm, and that opens up the rest of our property for development. While I'm on, so I guess first things first, I move forward on that. You think, investigate? Not spending any money yet, but I'm just want to am I going the wrong direction?
Well, you brought up a concept earlier tonight. That was the old Shoshoni Motel. I mean, those 4 lots already have water and sewer accessible, and we're gonna have them developed. You brought up that, you just mentioned thinking, so I'm wondering, is that another possible location?
Well, it could be, but the only it's not, if we were going to develop, my thought, we're going to put in 4, but I'm thinking we're putting in the ability, we got the land to put in 12, and then we can put, and make it similar or even more, but make it similar to what we have there with a little park, where they can go out, that's a nice area. Yeah, I mean, and develop, instead of just apartments develop a nice, something similar that they did 20 years ago. That's what I have envisioned. And the Shoshoni Motel would, I don't think fits that description. That's a good thought. And if you put it in, I think you need the whole setting with the little, like they did. I think that was an excellent model. And I'm envisioning something similar to that.
Well, you're talking about a retirement community, if you will, or
yes,
kind of a mini reach.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. And we have more reasons for people my age and the real old guy, but to come here, our medical clinic, that's one thing. That people, another reason for people to come. I see a lot of people my age there, even some of the younger people, but
So would it be strictly senior housing, or would it be low income housing?
What I am envision is senior housing.
Well, what we have now is not strictly senior housing.
There, we have an age limit on 8 of the units. There's 4 of the units that's been removed, but I don't know we haven't talked about doing anything different. The 4, but we have what's the age limit?
55.
55. You gotta be 55 to live there. You have, and it is classified as low income housing.
Well, it's both. It's 55 and low income.
Yeah. Because there's economics, you gotta meet a certain economic level to qualify, and you have to be 55 years old. And I'm envisioning something similar. That's that's my vision. And if someone has something different, but that's what I'm in, because I think there's a need for that in our area.
In times past, we have even brought people from Utah here to live in our senior housing.
Yeah.
Well, I know a couple that last summer were visiting with me. We're having a soda pop over in well, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Over where Tim's excavating, and they showed it. Well, you might have them on there. I'll mention them to you later.
But I think we have 4 on the list now. We have, I think we could get more, but I think there's maybe beginning, maybe a little more interest to move to Shoshoni. And with having some medical here, I think that's, even little better. That's my thoughts. Any other thoughts? Okay, if things okay, I keep on moving forward. Like there again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it if we think I'm going down the wrong rabbit hole. Of course, I'm not spending any money without coming to you.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that.
Well, and I'm not as familiar with the demographics, and I mean, I know that we have an aging society, but I don't, well,
yeah.
There's people here that are a lot more in touch with the senior center and seniors out there. So I really,
Ron, you seem old. Why do you keep pointing at me?
well, I was trying to paint with a big brush and it ended up right there.
But it's, but we do have 4 on our wait list right now.
I mean,
I think there's a demand for it.
I don't see any problem with examining options. I mean, they're not costing us anything.
Okay, that's okay with the council, I'll continue to move forward. I just want to make sure before I spend a lot of time doing this, that it's not dead in the water before I start.
Yeah.
You're salaried.
Yeah, I guess. But I have a limited amount of time, and I'm just trying to want to point myself into what's going to be fruitful for the town.
I was going to ask Pat and Gary what they thought, but then I'll be calling them old. So I'm kind of in a tough spot here.
I'm going to be 21 in July, and I'm proud of every 21 year.
I would like to point out that the 4 people on that waiting list are residents of Shoshoni right now.
Okay, the other Carl and Doreen Freeman were asking me about it too.
Yeah.
And they're not that
here
COVID
right
thing's
now,
got
but
them all.
these people that are on the waiting list are residents.
Yeah.
I would like somebody to explain the way that waiting list works. Because at one time, if I was first on the list and Chris calls me and says, I have a unit available, and I say, well, I'm not ready to move in yet, then he would go to number 2 and ask them. But I would retain that top slot. And I could never understand why, if it was your turn and you were offered that you got to keep the top spot, why didn't you go down to the bottom and work your way back up?
I've never done that.
The people below you are the ones that suffer from that. And that's the way it used to be.
Well,
I'm not saying you did it, Chris.
I know. One, I was going to say, if he's 21, the Navy was definitely some hard years.
Yeah.
It's something with, the
No,
council
but
can work on too.
there's no stipulations with WCDA on a timeline, so that was a decision that was made independently. I think that I would do some discussions with WCDA on the 8 units we do have. On the other 4, now that when these leases expire, we'll have our own Shoshoni policies that will stipulate how that process works and would probably be something a little bit more fair and equitable, that if you're offered a house and 60 days later, you're not ready to move in yet, while other people are waiting, you'd probably get skipped over and go to the next person online. That's how I would envision it, but there's nothing in place yet, so I can't say how it would be or wouldn't be, but.
Yeah, but if you're skipped over, do you still retain that slot at the top, or do you go to the bottom?
I don't have anything written yet, so I mean, it makes sense what you're saying. I'd say if you pass it, you just bump down one, you change place number two, but I don't have anything written.
Just like when you're getting an elk license, standing in line, right, Gary?
Yeah, and then you run across some guy from Casper and you get invited to court.
Yep. Anyway, we both know that story, but
Yeah.
you did a great job on that. Anyway,
Well, and he lost too.
yep, yeah, I know, that was good. Nothing but good. See, we talked about that, yeah, that's, move forward then, council?
Move to adjourn?
Yeah, move
Yeah.
forward. and then
Not
move
moving
forward.
forward.
Yeah, go ahead and move forward on that. Okay, before I move to adjourn, I got one other thing I'd like to address the council. I've had a couple people interested in buying maybe 5-acre plots and some of the land we got. We haven't surveyed it or plotted it or anything else. They're wanting to build homes out there. We would have to go through all of the motions to sell housing. Do we want to entertain that now to get someone to build a home? We can have some appraisals done, market analysis, put it out for bid, or sell through a realtor, however we do it to sell land. Do we want to move forward on selling a home now that it might be near the water line where they can tap into water? There's no sewer out there. They'd have to put in a septic system. But I've had several people come to me because the property west, we talked about maybe 2 to 5 acre plots west of Herbst Road, and the east of Herbst Road into lots. But we haven't done none of that stuff. But we got some people that are wanting to build new homes now.
That's kind of why we got the property.
That's, but that's, what is the council's feeling on that? Do I move forward on trying to sell some land for the town, following all the legal, however we have to do it legally? In a 5-acre parcel or a 2-acre parcel, or maybe a couple, whatever. We talked about 2 to 5, but we really haven't sat down and plotted everything out, but that property kind of makes sense that way. But what do you think?
I think it'd be a good opportunity to talk to when you talk about the B&B over there with a realtor.
Yeah.
And talk to him about that property too?
So you can say,
Okay.
realtor, this is what we got. This is the layout. This is the nasty hill in there. This is the.
Exactly. Okay, that was my thoughts too, but there again, I want to make sure I'm on the same page with the rest of the governing body.
I agree with Mike. I don't know anything
Okay.
about plats and subdivision. I don't know anything about.
Yeah, I
that,
don't either.
Yeah.
We had never got that far, but we got people interested in buying land now, and I want to see people build homes, but I want to make sure we do it right.
Maybe it will be contagious.
Yeah, I mean,
First
good.
one goes up. Yeah.
If we get 40 of them, and we don't have to do none of that stuff. But, okay, if the council blessing, then I'll call for adjournment. I'll move forward on developing that with the B&B on property that we're trying to sell. I appreciate your support. Yes.
If you're gonna do that, you ought, this group ought to decide if you wanna go as big as 5 or 2, because you're gonna need that, a designation on how many acres when you do that.
Sure.
Or it could be a combination.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
that was.
do both of them.
Well, depends on the lay of the land.
Yeah,
Right.
You wanna have an idea what you're gonna be asking them to look.
Well, correct.
Or the buyer's budget. Not everybody wants 5 acres.
Well, sure, correct. I mean,
Maybe some guy only wants 1 or.
but
Well,
those,
there'd have to be stipulation over there.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's what
Depends
I'm,
on.
you kinda wanna have that broken down.
my thoughts, we'd have that then by next year, when we had our water lines and everything out there in place. But we have some people that are wanting to do it now in Shoshoni, Oh, geez.
The people are
That's
living
a,
here right now.
yeah,
When we go out there.
yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
I had them talk to me on it too.
Huh?
How you gonna zone that?
Oh, I got that all figured out, but I can't tell you. No, the governing body would have to vote on that, but there's we can zone it, is it C1, Bo, or that would allow, I'm thinking it's out there. There again, I'm thinking aloud. We haven't had a chance to really meet on this, but C1 allows animals. Where you have a horse property, or we've had multiple people that's talked about that type of property. We, frankly, me and Bo, before we ran, we looked at that property. We talked about the senior housing. I mean, we kicked around a bunch of this stuff when we were decided to run for office. So this is something that's been, him and I are kind of versed on it, but we, things are happening a lot faster. We didn't know if we'd get that land bought. Had no idea we could buy it for as reasonable as we did. We had no idea we had the funding to do it. I mean, it's kind of been moving fast. So, any other thoughts? If not, I'm going to ask for adjournment. It wasn't me. I can't see anybody. Bob, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
I've talked to you about this before on 4th Street. Years ago, the town gave the school district easement to go across there. And I'm wondering if that's still town property. The school had an easement to go across there, to build across there. But once the school's gone, it should revert back to the town.
I'd have to look how that's laid out. My understanding, probably in the middle of the street, probably belongs to one landowner and the other half belongs to the other. I may be wrong on that, but that would be, because at 4th Street, if you got north and south, you got different property owners on each side. That probably may convert, or it may not, back to the original, or it may, I'd have to research it. Whether I don't know if Confidence Builders own it, if the town of Shoshoni owns it, or if we each own half. I'd have to research it. But I'm glad I thought to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too.
Yeah.
It might be too late because they might build across it to begin with.
Well, we need to address that before they do, and that was in my intention.
I know you want to adjourn, but I was involved in part of that conversation because my guys had to cross the street.
Okay.
And when our principal at the time and superintendent tried to tell the town what the town was going to do, it was going to be guess again. And that's when the gates went up and they had to be opened in the morning and in the afternoon. And the town still owes that street. The town didn't give them an inch on that street. Well, you can go ahead and look it up.
No. But I said it could be that. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, you remember that. Oh, there's a little bloodletting over there.
I was gonna say, I remember when they closed off the other.
Right.
Town's talking about too. Yeah. I don't remember the litigation part of it, but I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people mad.
Oh.
Sure.
I was standing down top of the hill, wanted to ride out.
Oh, appreciate it, Pat. We'll research that.
And then another thing with that property out there, with the way town ordinances work, we can always change that so we can have horses and stuff like that out there to help bring in more people. So that can be changed, it doesn't have to stay like that.
Actually, we do not, under C1, animals are not listed.
Oh, wow.
There's no
It's not
agricultural
C1.
There must be another one.
I thought there was. Maybe you got a list of just agriculture. I thought there was one listing that allowed horses.
Not under the zoning ordinance, as I read.
We can list it, it's already agriculture.
Yeah, so it's already listed as agriculture. So
Right, so we need to have that in our new book.
Yeah.
Well, correct.
It's just another ordinance to work on. I try to figure out how to sign out of my email.
Now can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion to adjourn, a second. Any further discussion? None being. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Meeting adjourned.